My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. All right, this is another demon monitoring with the City of Ontario, stalking by planes. These are the same demons that are going to the gang stalking churches and are stalking me at those venues while they receive free meals. These are demons, and so are the gang stalking church leaders, these so-called Christians that are acting in furtherance of murder, while the people of the state, whom they are, in concert with the ones that are surrounding me, sitting by me at the tables, standing in line, gang stalking me to the venues where the entity with the U.S. military are doing the same thing in the same exact environment. And this overweight African American who's exhibited severe instability, dancing on camera, following me around in the city, doing so in the middle of the darkness, like at 5 in the morning on Hope Boulevard. This is somebody that's going to be subject to what is commitments while I've documented evidence of severe instability while he is stalking. It's 5:17 a.m. The entity just flew over by plane, and he is stalking in the path, and I captured him doing the exact same thing while the fake sun was shining. He is at what is Loaves and Fishes on I Street, sitting at the table, stalking and monitoring me right in my face, which is a prosecution of that venue as well. The entity that's engaging in this P.O.C. and forcing those stalkers to be in your presence. It's the same thing with them while they're serving you food and they're gang stalking. But this is a layer to the ongoing threat and psychological torture of the entity. And the people of the state are being prosecuted. That's the same venue committing battery while they're serving me food. And they have the Demons of Vagina monitors sitting around me while they're monitoring me with the U.S. military together. It is 5:17 a.m. This is P.O.C. They're going to prison. That's why I'm collecting this evidence. All these demons that are sitting outside homeless, gang stalking at Rock of Faith, gang stalking with Bethel Congregation, gang stalking with the Loaves and Fishes at I Street, they're going to prison. This is P.O.C. Stalking. And obsessively stalking the moment that I start moving, that I wake up. I'm getting ready to get up. They're already creeping in a plane. Let's break down what you're necessarily doing when you are stalking far from any terminal from the airport, meaning miles away. It's over 4 miles. They're over the top of this short 1-story building for me to see them. And they are stalking, lurking in slow motion, and doing so, waiting until the second that I move to engage in what is already tracking my steps. You see this ongoing psychotic behavior exhibited in the specific environment where they are lurking in a plane, doing so at a precise elevation to be seen, because the entity that is gang stalking you wants you to see it, while everything that they're doing is being used against them to prosecute them. But the entity that is seen stalking is doing so by flying over the top of this venue, not going to a destination, judicial notice, not pursuant to any flight, in other words, scheduled to a destination, which is also not going to be in this area, and not doing U-turns, and not appearing at this time at the venue, which is in concert with the people of the state, where the entity is rising and setting a fake sun. This is a prosecution straightforward. The entity is engaging in this, and this is the mentally ill. This is also used to this is diagnosis by prosecution. That's the military. That is also at the same time not representative of the actual U.S. military that have authority in the United States. I am prosecuting a cult that has engaged in what is abusing positions that they are being publicly stripped of, and they're going to be committed and put in federal prison for terrorism. They are violent sex offenders. They're homosexuals. These are the casualties of demon possession. They follow Satan as a whole population does in California. And this cult is absurdly psychotic. They're in the government, and they make up the population gang stalking me. This is a failed sacrifice. It's a operation that has disgraced the U.S. government, and that's why the U.S. government is going to prosecute them so profusely. Many of the ways I've already told you, I've already told them about, which is going to occur in a military tribunal. This is the government stalking me at 5:32 a.m. This is P.O.C. This is stalking at the traffic light, and that's also called light activity. And the entity is behind me, stalking with a plane coming toward me. Sarah's Regis group was filled with impossible light activity, which you'll see in images. And this is license plate 01622 Frank 3. You see how he didn't turn? McIntyre metal decking is gang stalking. I'm going to prosecute the corporate entity. I'm going to prosecute the corporate entity that is Frontier Airlines. That's who this is. That is gang stalking and furtherance of murder. Frontier Airlines is not exercising any business opportunity or business operations. They're engaged in criminal activity as a corporate actor that the U.S. military utilizes. There's no passengers on that plane, in other words. And that's the military stalking, while they're doing so and facilitating it on the roads and the highways, where the gang stalkers, the people of the state, will lose driving privileges. California driver's licenses will not be issued, will not be accessible by the entity that is gang stalking. And these are the homes that were stalking as I'm walking away from the library. You'll see them in images. They go and gang stalk me at the gang stalking churches. And so this evidence that I'm capturing, that I'm subject to it, is prosecuting the fake churches as well. Okay? They congregate together as terrorists at those fake churches, which is also how those fake churches are threatening and psychologically torturing and harassing. And this is all engineered light. Okay? This is the prosecution of a venue. Sarah's Regis Group is covered with impossible light, and let me show you that. Number one, light activity. Securitas is stalking in the path. It's a pattern of conduct, stalking with, and the is engaging what is stalking with impossible light. This is light that is occurring facing another wall. The entity is maintaining whatever on all of the surfaces while they are indeed monitoring. Not only is this evidence of criminal activity, it's evidence of mental illness. Those that are stalking, like in planes, like with methods of light, like on the roads and the highways where they're actually surrounding you, are severely mentally ill. And I documented the entity that's engaging in that. This is impossible light that's on the property of Sarah's Regis. I will prosecute you. You don't have to come out of your apartment. I don't have to go in and meet the corporate. I don't have to know the CEO. I will prosecute you. This is surveillance that's underway, and you're profiting off of surveillance. That's a RICO case. I will prosecute the property management company. And I've already documented the P.O.C. And while they're on your property engaging in the pattern of conduct, you are being criminally prosecuted. This is state action. It is all over the venue. This is P.O.C. That's all impossible light activity. It's also impossible when the sun is setting right here in Sarah's Regis Group. These are the demons stalking with impossible light, engaging in surveillance. And this is a demon who knows he's being documented. He's just sitting there, gang stalking. P.O.C. All right, let me give you the license plate again while the entity amplifies plain activity. This is all a matter of judicial notice. That's not sunlight. The sun isn't going to rise and set at the same location. You're also not ignorant about being documented for terrorism, and you do so as the dead who are engaging in a threat. 8ZXA510, 9XHE385. In the environment, look at the light, monitoring, stalking, in plain view, and furtherance of murdering somebody. That's the entity that's going to be subject to martial law. I'm prosecuting the bank. I'm prosecuting the city of Ontario. This is the prosecution of Sarah's Regis Group. This is how the corporate actors will be prosecuted, for conspiring your murder with the government that does so through a whole population. And they maintain establishments to engage in surveillance, which is superseding anything that you claim that you have with regard to a business. It's an admission that you're engaging in surveillance as the government is, your co-defendant is providing evidence against you. Okay? Presence. That is what is criminal, and you will be prosecuted for it. This is P.O.C. It is currently 6:09 a.m. Just want to add on, the entities engaged in psychopathic pacing, and that video is where this demon is flying in a plane making a U-turn, and that's over the Ontario Town Square. The entity is stalking with engineered light that's covering and on the inside of a parking garage, while the entity has yet to shine the fake sun. The entity is stalking me as a population on the roads and the highways. They do that by just pacing around me as I walk to whatever location. As I walk to Stater Brothers, the entity is following with the plane activity, following with the fake sun, the engineered light conduct while they're monitoring. Exceeding stalking. And while they stand around as zombies doing that, they're going to be committed and put in prison. It's an unlawful threat by the government, who are acting as an entity. They're not individuals. They're zombies stalking with the government. P.O.C. 9FIA610. While the entity's doing U-turns over the street, they're all stalking. This is that system. This is P.O.C. And guess who else does that? The police departments, the fire departments, the county sheriffs, the gang stalking EMTs, the so-called ambulance. They're all stalkers. They're demons. Okay, that's public corruption, and all of those means of terrorism and stalking are being defunded and prosecuted. P.O.C. That's a U-turn over over the Ontario Town Square, 6:11 a.m. All right, this is the entity that's not making a U-turn. This is Delta Airlines that has yet to engage in a takeoff, just like at the Senior Center, which is east of this location, while the fake sun progresses west over me. And I've captured Southwest Airlines stalking me at this same intersection, Palm and B Street, after 4 p.m., where Rock of Faith is gang stalking, the venue where I'm subject to psychological torture and stalking by a bunch of losers who are homeless, not because they're being targeted by the state, but because they're a bunch of vagina monitors or a bunch of zombies who have engaged in what is the pattern of conduct with the military that certainly isn't assisting them while they're gang stalking me. In fact, they're going to prison for gang stalking me with the U.S. military that's at the same intersection. This is all manner of surveillance, and this is the prosecution of the whole neighborhood. All right, so this is the evidence. This is what I'm stating. This is already a matter of what is a conviction. Convicting all of the population. 9KAB148. This is my shadow in the street. I don't even come west this direction. I walked towards St. George yesterday morning. I go back to the Bethel congregation, which is along the same street where where the fake sun set. I have it on video at 8 o'clock, on video after 5 p.m., and I am in the morning going west beyond that venue, and the entity is stalking and engaging in this. This is the entity that's engaging in what is clear surveillance, clear stalking, and clear incriminating conduct. This is engineer light all over the street, where they're driving and walking and stalking with noise. This is the prosecution of all the demons in the specific environment. And those that are stalking as homeless at these fake churches are going to prison. All right, so they're going. This is P.O.C. This is Southwest Airlines that has yet to engage in a takeoff, hovering over 325 B Street, where I'm subject to the pattern of conduct at what is proven to be a fake church by virtue of engaging in the satanic and criminal activity of federal group stalking and monitoring by virtue of the entity engaging in the same thing after 4 p.m., where I stood at this same location, where I've also documented the Ontario police crossing path that's stalking by the people of the state. Ontario police did the same thing after 4 p.m., doing so while they're driving an engineer light, which is covering this street right here. It's streaming outward diagonally across the sand and across that's not sunlight. And it's also not the sun, nor is it sunlight that's reflecting off of windows and creating those streams of light, because this is the sun that's here after 4 p.m. and it's currently 6:20. So let's count 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 10 hours from now at 3:25. Southwest Airlines and Alaska Airlines are gang stalking while the entities engage in criminal defamation. Everybody that I documented sharing in that is going to prison, and they were right here. And this is all stalking by a neighborhood, and they're maintaining activity on the roads and the highways, losing driving privileges. 46598 Edward 4. This is the same pattern of conduct where the entity commits murders on the roads and the highways under the malicious guise of car accidents, which California Highway Patrol share in, the gang stalking law enforcement agencies share in, the gang stalking EMTs share in, which they make money, and they're engaging in what are sacrifices while the entities engaging in this pattern of conduct. And the person that you see driving off stalking in the white sedan is stalking coming from 319321. These are likely government recipients. They receive government assistance to even be in these venues. They're not staying here. They're engaging the pattern of conduct while the entity is flying over your venue, while the entity is covering it with engineer light, while you are stalking in the path, engaging in any activity, literally staying inside of your home. This is the inevitable exposure for surveillance, and you will not be receiving any government assistance at all. The entity is engaging in the light activity. This is the entity, the surveillance is underway, and this is my documentation being here after 4 p.m., where that entity is making allegations that are speaking to targeting, not speaking to any prior incidents that happened. But this is the entity that's hostile and harasses as a fake church and the homeless. This is speaking, there's no economic status where they are differing in the pattern of conduct. And that's also what I'm letting you know about those that are demons that are engaging in this criminal system. They do not know Christ. It does not matter what they call themselves. And you do know them by their deeds. And moreover, I'm prosecuting them. This is the entity that is being universally subject to a prosecution. And while I prosecute the fake church in the neighborhood, I'm prosecuting the entire city. All right, this is P.O.C. And under the fake sun, the entity is engaging in what is the mentally ill behavior of stalking with light. That's peculiarized light. And I've documented this pattern literally on this street over and over again. And the entity is engaged in this with regard to what is federal prison. Criminal defamation was committed by this entity, stating that I'm stealing from the homeless people that are stalking me. This is my shadow over here, and this is another shadow over here. Coming to the stop sign is a matter of stalking in the path, not driving or exercising any rights or privileges, by the way. They're stalking. This is how they're doing it, and they're doing it in engineer light. So you need to understand the malice of what they're doing. And while the entity engages in this behavior, this is psychopathic. They'll do the same thing with police lights, ambulance lights. A crime scene is what you're looking at. And you're looking at demons that are stalking with light. The peculiarized light in that specific environment pursuant to the P.O.C., where the government is showing you that they are stalking and they are always exposing the people of the state. That's the purpose of the P.O.C. It's an unintelligent system, and they have been put against each other while they are necessarily engaging what is targeting. And the other cooperative actor cannot hide from that criminal engagement in the P.O.C. This is currently 6:23 a.m. This is coexisting with evidence that's already on the record. Not last Thursday, but the Thursday before last. And then after being gang stalked here and defamed, in this environment, the entity flying in a small plane or in a large plane. You see that in engineer light? It's impossible light activity. It's in the shade. The entity is engaging what is keeping this fake sun while I walk back to the location that I just left, where you see the fake sun rising and setting like I documented yesterday. This is P.O.C. It's 6:24 a.m. This is a prosecution of the city of Ontario. And I'm going to document, which I've already documented this neighborhood, but I'm going to document the license plates because these are the ones that are being committed while you stalk with light, while you stalk in planes, while you do so with the entity, while you stalk with the police. These are all bases of prison institution and being committed involuntarily. The entity is engaging in this as a government system, and it is psychotic. It's satanic, to be specific. It is exceptionally deranged regarding the behavioral health issue presented by a population engaging in this behavior to surveil someone before they murder them. All right, and the entity's doing it now while they are being documented. That's extraordinarily disturbing. So this is the entity that's engaging under no circumstances is it lawful, and you're also engaging in that which is not normal. So no one is looking at this as, oh, no, you're looking at the pattern of conduct and they're going to be committed. This is P.O.C. It is currently 6:24 a.m. I'm going to document these license plates. It is currently 6:28 a.m. It is, by the way, Monday, June 15, 2026. Good morning. I am Erica Spencer. This is the P.O.C. and the video you just listened to, this is the evidence of an entity that is a public entity. That's literally the government. How you break down what does that word mean and how is that practically occurring that a government, that an entity is stalking. What does that mean? So the podcast has been from the beginning the evidence that an entire government that is a system is stalking me. That system is made up of people. And those people also, as the evidence shows, are severely mentally ill. And this is breaking an illusion that mental illness is suffered as some sort of exception pursuant to what is, some sort of traumatic experience. They usually, demons that are engaging with the abuse of the practice of law, practice of medicine, are attributing what is satanic, what's relevant to what are actually generational curses, what is attributed to demon possession, things that are not spoken about, which is proven in the P.O.C. amongst criminal activity, are showing what is categorical assessment of mental illness. And this is bringing into effect historic doctrines under the Constitution, such as martial law. On B Street, the entity is stalking, and they're doing so on video. And as I analyze that in that video, this is at the same 325 B Street. I want you to hear the plane activity, because this is the same plane activity east of this location. And the fact that you hear it is the prosecution of the people. There's no takeoff. There's no terminals. It's the same analysis in Upland, California. Okay? This is the entity that is stalking, and this is the entity that is under no circumstances able to hide that they're stalking, because their mentally ill pattern of conduct puts them in direct eyesight for all of you witnesses to know the truth of what the ordinary target, the unsophisticated target individual is asserting, and they're doing it in plain view. So because you are ignorant does not make someone else mentally ill. Because you are all and ignorant in many ways, ignorant about the propriety of planes just being anywhere in the city, because you're ignorant about the significance of corruption of police departments, and not just with regard to Black Lives Matter and those that are engaged in something like in a movie like American Gangster where they're trafficking drugs while they're supposed. No, it's deeper than that. You're talking about it was a whole corrupt system where police departments exist for centuries to engage in facilitating a whole criminal system, maintaining the illusion that they're police departments in the first place. Because you're ignorant about those things, which are proven by the P.O.C. This is speaking to why you should keep your mouth shut, with all due respect, while you exacerbate the harms of people that are subject to what are spiritual attacks, which are physically occurring, such as being gang stalked, which is the entity. The entity is the government. The gang is the government, and they're a gang of demons. Okay? Because you are ignorant about these things, because you're ignorant about the fake sun, where you are, and I'm not talking to demons, because demons are literally engaging in this gang conduct, and you being encouraged by demons, you're being encouraged by demons to engage in speaking flippantly about that you are ignorant about, while you are ignorant about the experience of another person, whether or not they know how to eloquently articulate or intelligently describe what is, first of all, psychotic. Okay? That's a standard that doesn't even exist. So who are you to speak about somebody else's experience? I don't have to defend myself, honey. The P.O.C., Christ is my defense. This was never intelligent in the first place. This is what they do to people that can't even open their mouth and speak to it. It's traumatic. And then you're on the internet talking about them. You're in the neighborhood. You need to know that you've got spirits on you, demons. I'm not going to mention, you've got demons on you that are doing that. Speaking about someone else's harm, and you add to that. And under the law, it's criminal activity. It's called criminal defamation. All right? The entity's engaging in that pattern of conduct amongst the people of the state, and this is the categorical assessment regarding mental illness and demon possession, which is proven in the environment and by the behavioral pattern pursuant to a criminal pattern of conduct of gang stalking.
referred to accurately as federal group stalking and monitoring, is the ability to cut off a mentally ill society from the rest of the country, because I'm in the United States of America, and this is speaking to martial law throughout California, based on the criminal system. All right, and the entities engaging, I want to be clear, because the governor's not drooling out of his mouth, because the governor can hold his head up straight, because the governor doesn't have a droopy left eye, because the governor doesn't smell like feces, all right, or fecal matter, that does not mean you're not dealing with a psychopathic disorder. The psychopathic disorder is maintaining the appearance, the representation of one thing when you're engaged in something totally different. The entire state of California is engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. Gavin Newsom is not ignorant about that. Gavin Newsom is requesting money from the federal government based on the corrupt practices of the state. The same gang stalkers that are stalking in police vehicles and fire trucks and ambulances are on whose behalf this so-called governor, who is necessarily working and living under the fake sun and wherever he is in California, because he's not under the fake sun where I'm at, where I'm subject to the pattern of calling by corrupt police departments and fire departments and EMTs who have no basis to receive any money while they're not even engaged in emergency services. It's funding terrorism. And you are not reasonably, nor is he actually ignorant of that. This is a demon, and that is psychopathic conduct. Just want to be clear. I have documented the entire state and the system. Okay, so on B Street, the entities engaging in this conduct, where you hear plane activity competing, it's occurring at 6:34 a.m. And there is, I'm at still, what is the 325 B Street, at the intersection of B as in boy and Fern, and that is a matter of judicial notice while you can listen to the evidence. There is no airport where you are at the Ontario International Airport, taking off from Terminal 2, Terminal 4, doing so where you are still interfering with what is the ability to have any peace and quiet, number one, but hovering over the sky space, as I captured in video and images, number two, where the entity is maintaining the fake sun over me at this hour, as I'm documenting it's in the same manner over me 10 hours from now, and you are engaging in the maintenance of any audible activity. You have not engaged in any takeoff. This is the entity that's targeting, just like they are east of this location, where you have flown even farther west and you still haven't taken off. You have not heightened in elevation. Stalking. Very unintelligent. Never before scrutinized, because you're ignorant about these things. Okay, and I'm talking to those who are demons, who are ignorantly engaging in this conduct. Criminal activity. You're no longer just running your mouth. You're engaging in a federal offense. Okay, but because you are ignorantly doing so, you need to understand that that's not a defense. And because you're ignorantly doing so, that does not make you correct as a principal matter. All right, stalking is license plate Edward 97J28, doing so where the entity is stalking with light activity, where the entity is flying, psychopathic pacing is what is underway, and these are the mentally ill that have been documented on more than one occasion. These are demons that are using people who are exhibiting the mental illness while they're stalking with light, stalking in the path, stalking with methods of flashing light, where they live, work, and travel under a fake sun, an enduring fake sun. They're demons, okay? And this is what the entity is doing while they are even more triggered as the demons are being discerned. The demons that possess them are triggered, and so you have more and more of them that arrive engaging in psychopathic behavior, such as stalking with impossible light. 7JXR324. This is the entity that's engaging that together. So this is where you see in my evidence, where you'll see more and more of the demons arriving in traffic. Okay, the environment will get louder, sirens and helicopter activity. That's and that I want to be clear, that is a tremendous lawsuit regarding psychological torture by an entity. They will be paying for that, and they are also going to be subject to commitments, martial law, federal prison, etc. Based on the terrorism, the levying war of an American citizen, and that is before they murder you. They stalk you obsessively. They are demons. And this is informing the public because you ought not speak ignorantly any longer. Okay? Now, you are doing so with demons who are not ignorant. They are relying on your ignorance, and they are literally engaging what is a satanic means of peer pressuring you, if you will. A satanic means of you're being encouraged by demons who are engaging in this that other people are experiencing, and you are speaking against that very real experience that another person, you're exacerbating the harms. You're harming other people. And that's a spirit that you're teaming up with. And it's a spirit that is using you. So I just want you to let that marinate for a second. And I'm going to go back to the analysis, because that's the reality of how this system works. The government needs people. And the government is literally the arms and hands and feet and mouth of Satan. Satan is using an entity, using those that are strategically placed in government, and they're being removed from those positions. But that is the entity that is a spirit that infects a population, hence gang stalking of a whole state. Anywhere I go in California, the P.O.C. is underway. And even when they try to be quiet and control themselves and silently gang stalk, the entity is maintaining that environment that is screaming at the mountaintops. It is pregnant silence. It is never that which is beyond the ability to document, to observe, to witness. Okay, but the entity is not gang stalking you silently. And the more that you document demons, the more triggered that they will be, and they will eventually show their true colors. They will get louder. They will be more obvious, because that's the nature of Satan. Okay, that's a P.O.C. So at B Street and Fern is where I'm at, and I'm documenting the entity that is stalking with license plates. That I stalking in the past, stalking in their homes, which are facilitating venues under the law. This is not private property, and they're doing so in concert with the entity that you hear in the background. That is literally the evidence. It's literally a strict liability basis based on the wealth of evidence regarding that P.O.C. You're talking about merely educating the federal courts, the military tribunals about what the government has been engaging in, and upon understanding that system, it shall be a strict liability basis regarding a prosecution that is entirely constitutional, while the government and a population have been engaged in terrorism for centuries. Okay, and they are being prosecuted and exposed for it in 2026. Well, my evidence exists as of 2018, but the evidence, a study, is what is provided, more than just the prosecution and evidence. This is a study, and in order that the government is absolutely sure there is no exception here, there's no anomaly here, there's no mistake here, and there's no possible way that that could be the case. Okay, it is currently 6:38 a.m. and the demons are in the middle of the street, stalking with engineer light that is placed there for their stalking purposes. Stalking is a crime. And guess what? Because you are ignorant about the fact that the government is actually stalking and comes with a population, does that make it not a crime because you're ignorant about it? Or because the government is doing so in a manner that you've never heard of before? Does that make stalking the crime in and of itself, as a principle, legal? I'm going to let you answer that question yourself. The answer is absolutely no, however. Okay, I'm actually going to respond. The answer is it's in a profound, absolutely not. Of course that is not the case. This is what gang stalking is. This is what gang stalking relies on. Ignorance. Relies on deference to entrusting those that are in positions that they are fully exploiting and abusing, in order to violate in unspeakable manners in the United States, American citizens. But you are human beings who are subject to this around the globe. Okay, so I am advocating internationally on a human rights basis, because the United States of America, because of what the U.S. military is engaging in, is a terrorist in your country, keeping you under surveillance. Which, you know, as far as international, that would make us... But I'm not. I am not this country. I do not pledge allegiance to Satan. And as much as I've studied politics, as much as I've studied government, as much as I have studied the laws, as fascinating and interested and passionate as I am, my allegiance is not to any country. And this is why you do not pledge allegiance to man, because man is conditioned. Man is fallible. Man is highly imperfect, flawed, sinful, and man can be dead wrong. Okay, and so when you pledge allegiance to that, and that's what these cult members do, that's what these toxic departments, these toxic, I would say, listen to the birds, that's what these toxic policies, these departments, for example, that maintain a toxic environment regarding law enforcement, even when your superior is wrong. They're right because they're your superior. And then they maintain that ongoing, that's psychotic. When you are wrong under the law, you're not going to, contrary to what they do, they're dead wrong. And so because of their position, no, I'm not wrong, I'm right. And I'm going to push in on that. I'm going to reiterate that because of my position, even though in reality you're wrong. That toxic culture, that toxic environment, that toxic, which is, again, referred to in terms of psychopath, narcissistic is how this secular world refers to it. That's a spirit. It's a demonic spirit that has no regard for what is ethical, no regard for what is actually correct or true. And that is something that is embedded in the military, embedded in law enforcement, embedded even in society amongst corrupt populations. And that is a satanic system that's in operation. Okay, so, and I've documented that. I've documented that mentality. I've documented that behavior. You've seen it. And they're doing it, they do it on video, and I'm documenting Satan. Satan doesn't have any self-control. That's how I've been able to get such compelling footage, because Satan doesn't have self-control. Self-control is a fruit of the Holy Spirit. It's more than how smart you think you are, how much you think you can control yourself. No, I'm actually the test. And you will see the ones that think that they're the smartest, the brightest, and that, no, you'll watch them unravel on my camera. Because they're demons who are triggered by literally my presence and the truth that I speak. And I don't mince words. I'm not going to play nice with Satan, who thought that he was going to kill me. Are you kidding me? Not only are you not going to do that, you've signed your own death warrant. I'm going to drag you in front of everyone for even thinking that you were going to do that. It's been a trap for the enemy. And my enemy, you need to understand, is your enemy. It's Satan himself. But you need to understand it with regard to where I'm at in the United States, unfortunately. The United States government is engaging in terrorism in the same way that I'm exposing it while I'm in California. And so wherever you are, this is beyond the United States. And I don't even like to say that, but it's not like I'm anti-America. It's that America is not what I have studied it to be, what I have believed that it is, what we are taught, conditioned to believe that it is, because there's nothing wrong with being patriotic. There's nothing wrong with being supportive of where you live and being proud of that. There is a limit to that, though. I am a child of God. My identity is in Christ. I don't pledge allegiance to any man, and this is why you don't do that. This is exactly why you do not do that. You don't follow man. You don't worship man. You don't idolize man. Okay? Man, what about when that man is demon possessed? Then what? Well, with these followers, these zombies, they follow regardless. They follow Satan. And they're following into what is a prison cell. They're following into mental institutions. And they're following down a dark path of what is cult conduct, murder, ritualistic behaviors, which is mentally ill conduct when you are analyzing the behavior and the behavior of a population. And so a bunch of cult members are being prosecuted. A bunch of cult members are being committed. All right, a bunch of cult members are being exposed because they want to go by police chief. They don't want you to know about the fact that they're cult members. They want you to, oh no, he's a police chief with 2.5 kids, and oh, look at his wife. His wife is a preschool teacher, and oh, and look at their teenage daughter. She's going off to medical school, and no, they're cult members, and they have sex with each other. They have sex with a whole bunch of other people while they are psychotic, maintaining, and that is the psychopathic disorder right there, maintaining one thing outwardly, because Satan knows that it's important to maintain a outward veneer, because they are aware of the ways in which you're judging people, which is based on total lies and illusions. Okay? It has nothing to do with what is actually going on with the person. And Satan is very much aware of that. That's literally how Satan exists amongst, for example, a fake church. All right? That's the psychopathic disorder representing themselves as one thing, what you're expecting, and it's a whole other. They host satanic orgies every night with their 2.5 kids, aware of it in the home, because they're being trained up to engage in that same thing while they're gang stalking and having positions in government. Okay, the preschool teacher that's pregnant from one of these sex rituals, and she doesn't even actually know who the father is. But these are things that they're not talking about. They engage in this conduct while they are maintaining this criminal system the entire time, while they want you to look at them as being one that is upstanding in the environment. It's absurd lies. And while you're listening to me document, while you're looking at what I could not make up, all right? So this is the entity that's, there's no question about them stalking. So the entity is now hostile and triggered, and while you're hostile and triggered, you do what? Provide more evidence against not just you, but everybody. Because I mean, down to the demon that's operating the plane, the time of day, the heliport you took off from, the terminal where the planes are, the fact that you engaged in a U-turn. Listen, it's not just my evidence, and my evidence is compelling and thorough enough. This is a cooperative act. The entity has been surrounded, and they've been surrounded for a very long time while they've just been focused on me and my vagina. They can't see anything else. They can't focus on nothing else. They have no self-control, and that's exactly where I want them. They've been surrounded for a very long time, and my evidence is supplemented. What I'm documenting, I'm going to let you know right now, they are surrounded with evidence to supplement, and they will produce their identity, because it's not just a matter of prosecuting and proving it, it's going to be a matter of who you are, because your humiliation before the world is necessary in prosecuting you. And they're going to identify themselves. The entity's engaging in, and that's because they're going to prison as well, they're being committed. But there's no mystery about who's flying that Delta airline planes, and the fact that there's no passengers on it, and that they're engaging what is making a U-turn and doing the same thing 3.5 minutes later, which I also documented and put it on YouTube. And it's supplemented by what the feds, the ones that are actually going to respond to this levying of war in the United States. There's no mystery here. These are idiots. They're idiots, and the feds know that they're a bunch of demons. Because you have to understand, in order for me to get justice, they have to, and I understand, all of you have to sit back and look at what it is that I'm describing to you. And once you see it, and I know you see it now, it is compelling, and you have to act. And this is also unique because this is causing those that are even in positions of government authority to be approached with things that perhaps they've never actually sat and contemplated about. Like the reality of Christ. Maybe your need for him, yeah, absolutely, because you don't want to be made an example of by Satan using you, and someone that is going to do a job that you would have otherwise been qualified to handle, but for your mental illness because you serve Satan, whether you're aware of it or not. But what they are aware of is the impropriety while they abuse government position. Oh, they're very much aware of it. That's why it's a secret system. And I blew that secret out of the water. It's not a secret anymore. So now you are openly psychotic, openly stalking. You're also openly homosexual. You're also openly in a polyamorous marriage, which your fake marriage situation when you're a cult member maintaining a gang stalking system, and they maintain that illusion of having that expected, normal, stable, nuclear family. That's an illusion. These are cult members, and they're homosexual, and they're mentally ill. They're STD infected. They don't even like women while they're married to women. It's Satan that maintains an illusion. These are not families, these are demons. Now that's the ongoing greater context. When you have a population like that are using even their businesses, their establishments are full of demons. They're all sitting in the Starbucks cafe waiting for me to walk in. What does that say about what actually is going on here? It tells you a lot. And then you hear how they speak when they're caught, because that's what I do. I'm catching people all the time. And these are people who are demon possessed. When they're caught, what do they try to do? They try to deflect by, as though some vagina monitor can insult me. Everybody knows you're stalking and obsessed with me, and they also know that you are absurdly psychotic. Like you sit around masturbating while you're monitoring my vagina, while demons pacing it. They know what's wrong with you and what you're doing while you call yourself trying to insult me. Guess what? While I'm sleeping outside, they know you're over there breathing heavily, slobbering, not sleeping, and monitoring me. While you think you can't insult me, you're a demon. You're literally a creature. But this is what you do, and that speaks volumes about what is actually going on. It speaks volumes about it. A whole fake sun. Undeniable scientific evidence, not to be disregarded whatsoever. It provides context so that military tribunals, federal courts know exactly what's going on, while you look at psychopaths who fail. That's like being a kidnapper. The child is definitely in the back of the car, and you think because you smile and look the opposite direction that they don't see that child in the back of the car? 6KRG097, stalking at Stater Brothers. That's literally their absence of logic. It's absurd, and this is why they're going to be put in straitjackets. That's exactly why. So anyway, the entity is stalking. You heard that plane activity? They're on B Street. The leaf blower is audible activity. Serial stalker 6 Victor Edward Zebra 061. Monitoring. Can't even actually be engaged in what is landscaping and cleaning and sweeping up the leaves. Everything is about stalking. Everything. That's why you're doing it under the fake sun, and that is pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. That's a threat, however. This is not just critiquing and embarrassing them. Yes, it is embarrassing. Satan needs to be humiliated. Satan's engaged in what is murdering other people and then murdering their reputation, the audacity of these monsters. That's what they do to people. And this is putting Satan, and those who think that serving Satan is cool or sexy or something. You've been deceived. That's why you're walking around with burning, inflamed genitalia. What is sexy about that? That's why you lie about your whole life. What's sexy about it if you have to lie about it and be fake about it? Everything about you, but at the same time you are trying to emit the opposite. All of these illusions, it's mentally ill behavior, absolutely mentally ill. But nonetheless, at Stater Brothers, the entity is indeed getting stalking at what I was documenting at what is B Street and B Street and Euclid Avenue, where the entity is gang stalking, following me from the Ovid Family Community Library. And the entity is doing so. I'm going to document the entity that's maintaining the pattern of conduct and is doing so pursuant to where it is that I travel. So that pattern of conduct that is that psychotic is following absolutely into the grocery store. That's the P.O.C. The entity is engaging in that conduct while they are under no circumstances ceasing in ongoing obsessive stalking conduct. They do it in a grocery store. They do it while driving school buses. Let me show you that. This is a stalker in a school bus in the parking lot under the fake sun. These are the demons that are hostile regarding things like Chafee Joint Union High School that has been a long-term documented gang stalker. And demons, that's Durham School, by the way, that I just took a picture of, that is stalking in the path in the parking lot under the fake sun. The entities engaging in this sort of conduct based on what that's pertaining to what I'm about to publish, which is the fact that teenagers are demons that are monitoring in California. And they very easily do so with cell phones. But anyway, so demons that are, again, monitoring, they're hostile, they'll climb in a school bus, something that's relevant to what I'm publishing, what I'm preparing to publish. For example, if I'm preparing to publish video about Amazon Prime stalking me, let's say Amazon Prime had a helicopter, or let's say the entity has a demon of the military will put on an Amazon Prime vest and then fly circles over me in the helicopter. It's only significant to them in their minds. They're psychotic. But this is how they attribute. Oh, you're talking about Amazon, so I'm going to put on an Amazon vest, and I'm going to fly in circles over you, and I'm going to get it on video, and they're going to be committed. And it's also going to be attributed to prosecuting Amazon that is a terrorist based on obstruction of justice. I'm being terrorized because I'm documenting Amazon that is, in fact, gang stalking me with the U.S. military. And that is also a basis to criminally prosecute Amazon that has no defense. You don't have a defense, and this is the pattern of conduct, and this is how the government is engaging in surveillance with the people of the state who are utilizing corporate entities, just to give you an example. So while I'm documenting gang stalking by high schools, elementary schools, the adults in concert with the demon-possessed children is relevant because they're monitoring, and monitoring is a government system, and they absolutely are engaging that with minors. The entity will gang stalk in a whole bunch of school buses that are stalking, it's psychotic, okay? They're a bunch of losers. So this, nonetheless, that's how that system operates. So it's speaking to an entity that is obsessed with me, an entity that is, while I'm prosecuting it, under my control, because I'm literally dictating what they do as they do it. And while I do that, I'm also prosecuting them. So when the leader says you're going to prison, guess where they're going? They are going to prison. And you think you're following everything else and stalking, you're going to prison as well. But the entity is, I started this analysis right here because I'm going toward where I started that video at Rock of Faith, where the entity has the fake sun after 4 p.m. and Southwest Airlines is doing the same thing. It's doing 10 hours later, and then the fake sun is over me. And the people of the state are engaging in psychopathic behavior together as a neighborhood, and that is the basis of martial law. And the entities engaging in this while they are following. It's not just on that street. The pattern of conduct, the entire entity is stalking as I move through the neighborhood, and the stalkers are moving through the neighborhood stalking in that manner as well. And that is evident while the entity is engaging in what is the maintenance of that environment and the maintenance of the obvious stalking with planes and helicopters, okay? And so that's a prosecution of what is, for example, Stater Brothers, which is where I'm at now. License PG-086, stalking in the path with the method of light activities, studying their devices. This is African-American male. Satan doesn't have a race. You're looking at the same mentally ill behavior. Stalking in the path, where the entity is maintaining the fake sun, and they followed. Remember yesterday, I don't even come to this location. I literally, like I stated, I go to St. George Catholic Church, where then you're talking about right back to the Ovid Family Community Library, and I'm walking west, and the entity is in the morning. So if the fake sun is east of this location, in other words, at the Ovid Family Community Library, east, the sun is supposedly rising in the east and setting in the west, and amongst these idiots, it's rising in the east on Hope Boulevard and setting in the west on Hope Boulevard. Let's just give that. But if that's the case, then at I got that video at 6:45 p.m. It is east of Stater Brothers. Well, it's over me right now at 6:56 a.m. This is the type of chicanery that you're documenting because the entity is engaged in what is surveillance, and it's obvious. 58005X1 is a sex offender, a demon-possessed one, and that is one that is doing so in furtherance of murder. Okay, the demons that are engaging in sexual violence, such as touching you with light that's flying in the air from monitoring you, is engaging in what is an act of war with the government that's stalking in planes and helicopters, and it's at Stater Brothers. Stater Brothers, that is a corporate actor that is being federally prosecuted by the entity that's engaging in gang stalking in its parking lot. on the streets around the venue, over that building, and on the inside of that building. That's the P.O.C. This is the entity whose mental illness is occurring under the guise of the business, the corporate entity, Stater Brothers and Ontario Village Shopping Center, where the entity is following. All right, it's currently 6:57 a.m. on surveillance cameras. The entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct, and I am on surveillance cameras. An old white man is stalking right in front of me. It's a P.O.C., and they're behind, monitoring. In the registers, stalking. That's the P.O.C. All right, you got a stalker lying in wait, wearing black and white chucks in the women's restroom. That is the entity that is gang stalking as a population and is in Engineer Light and is doing so pursuant to engage in what is vagina monitoring, which is Stater Brothers that is stalking. While an entity is stalking you in a place like a bathroom, they are threatening your life and they are engaging in what is the sex act in furtherance of murder, monitoring you, stalking you in a bathroom, which is evidence that's going to be used to have an entity not just prosecuted but committed. P.O.C., 6:59 a.m. Alrighty, it is 7 a.m. I just want to detail the entity that has a stalker in the women's restroom. That's called relevant positioning, and are stalking by maintaining psychopathic pacing through the register lines. That is psychopathic pacing. While the fake sun is over the building of the Stater Brothers, that is indeed psychopathic pacing in the Engineer Light. That is also on the inside of the store. These are all angles of the case that I already covered. The entity is stalking with amplified noise. So as my vagina is exposed as I move, the entity is maintaining amplified noise in the bathroom, like a loud booming noise, where the entity is engaging in what is merely flushing the toilet, turning on the faucet, even pressing the soap dispenser, are things that are amplified in volume in Engineer Light for monitoring. And they're monitoring genitalia. They're violating privacy, reasonable expectation of privacy, and they're doing so while they are in furtherance of murder with the government that has provided evidence also to prosecute all the people of the state and the corporate actor. This is Stater Brothers. This is vagina monitoring, and I will also capture the impossible light that is evident as well. It's 7:01 a.m. That is psychological torture of a sexually violent nature, by the way. P.O.C. This is P.O.C. That's all activity creation. Once you put the code in once, and that's the entity that knows that I'm in here. Once you put the code in once, however, it shows that it's blocked. The entity is engaged in amplified audible activity. So as the loud toilet flushes, as the loud hand dryer and the loud soap dispenser sounds, the entity is aware that I'm in here. The entity is stalking all the way to the venue, and the entity that is mentally ill, that's going to be committed, that is stalking an Engineer Light, that's also inside of this bathroom, is also proving knowledge. The entity that stalked me by helicopter and planes under a fake sun morning until evening has already been proven as knowledgeable, and engaging what is the use of the door pad where you enter the code is a means of stalking me, monitoring while they are tracking my steps even inside of the bathroom, monitoring my vagina. So they're pacing around in the parking lot, they're pacing around in the sky space, they're pacing around in the store, and that's the means where a sex offender is gang stalking. And Stater Brothers is being prosecuted for what is an unlawful threat. It's psychological torture, and it's also by a sex offender that is both Stater Brothers, all the employees who are going to prison, and the entity that is gang stalking the people of the state. While you are aware that a stalker is monitoring you in a bathroom, that then stalker tries to break in. That's not trying to enter in the code and enter in pursuant to what is a genuine inquiry, if you will. That's the entity that's entering in that pad, and after also being told more than once by the indicator that it's locked, repeatedly entering it while they know I'm standing on the opposite side of the door recording it. The entity is engaging in that pattern of conduct while you're also juxtaposing that with the ongoing gang stalking 24 hours a day. 24 hours a day. This is how it's happening inside of a building, specifically inside of a bathroom. Those are the mentally ill that are going to be subject to martial law. P.O.C. And this is prosecution of David Quinones. This is a violent sex offender. Stater Brothers is a violent sex offender, and I will be prosecuting. This is prosecuting it. P.O.C. That's the entity that is indeed obsessed with my vagina and obsessed with my privacy. which is what Satan is, a violent sex offender. It's a spirit. Good morning, Kia. Yeah, Kia is sharing in that sex offense, and Kia is representing the Stater Brothers that's engaged in gang stalking. And I am on the surveillance cameras, referring to them. All of the surveillance cameras are my evidence. I actually documented, but I'm going to go ahead and document license plates really quickly in images. Tracking my steps is a demon in the parking lot, driving right next to me, while the demons are stalking in the path by knocking on the door to create activity. License 9HXA585, and you'll see the fake sun right over the building. You need to understand the corporate entity that is every commercial airline company is being prosecuted for the sexual violence that the entity shares in the same way that the whole state of California is being prosecuted for the sexual violence that I'm documenting and have been documenting for years. 8HJU403, stalking in the bathroom. 7KDA701, and this is another venue where all the employees are going to prison. That's the entity that's sounding plain activity that knows that you're in the bathroom, by the way. That's the P.O.C. And this is a population of sex offenders. 5GWV538, Kia, that's at register number 1, is going to prison. So I'm going to go ahead and get the entity that is stalking, doing a U-turn over the parking lot right now. Having never taken any sort of takeoff and not headed to a destination, you have the entity that is stalking, the one that called the police and talking about the owner of the Village Shopping Center. It's not that particular actor, but it's the same company. The light activity is the mental illness that you're looking at under that fake sun. That's not a security company. I'm going to prosecute just like Securitas, Allied Universal. I'm federally prosecuting the gang stalkers that are going under the guise of being security guards. They're not, their vagina monitors. And that's why the entity just engaged in the outside of the bathroom door. Safeguard on demand, okay? P.O.C. Alrighty, sex offender, license plate. This is an old, feeble lesbian. She's a demon, license plate. 8DOP370 with impossible light that safeguard on demand is pacing to with the entity that is gang stalking. His partner engaged in criminal summoning with the Ontario police, okay, and is doing so pursuant to what is obstruction of justice, okay? He's going to prison. That company is being prosecuted, but this is another gang stalking so-called security company, and their pattern of conduct is going to be published on the internet for you to witness. It is the pattern of conduct. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
These demons are engaged in bathroom monitoring, so that's what I'm saying as I walk outside, and the entity is in, hi. Excuse me. As I walk outside and the entity, is there something wrong? Did you say something? Is there something wrong?
No.
Oh, okay, I thought you wanted to say something to me. The entity that is engaging in that pattern of conduct is, hold on. Alrighty. Pacing in and out, that is safeguard on demand. I'm waiting for him, like, please say something, because it's all a part of, you're being prosecuted and everything you say exacerbates that prosecution. So anyway, the entity is engaging in the P.O.C. and the entity is doing so pursuant to what is knocking on the door. It's called activity creation. Entering in the code and entering the code multiple times is called activity creation. And this is where the entity is, license 8XPK198. Is stalking with them, and that's a sex offender, that's a psychopath, that's an obsessed stalker that is engaging in what is that method of targeting me, even in the bathroom. Okay, you need to understand that Satan, this mental illness and sexual perversion are of a demonic spirits. Okay, those are of Jezebel. Jezebel is a psychopath, Jezebel is a sex offender. Okay, the entity engages in what is obsessing over your privacy, obsessing over you. 7KDA701 is the African American that's stalking with Kia at register number 1, by the way. They're crossing path. The entity is engaging in what is sexually perverted conduct and doing so pursuant to what is criminally monitoring you, which is it exceeds stalking you. They're not just following you, they're monitoring. And their mental illness is one that is causing people who you are aware of who are demon possessed. That's what's wrong with them. That's their mentally ill behavior. That is also criminal pursuant to surveillance. And they are in fact obsessed with your privacy, what you deem to be private, what you would like to be private, what you have a reasonable expectation to keep as private. And the entity that is demon possessed is obsessed with violating that, is obsessed with even your knowledge that they're violating it. And they engage in sexually perverted activity with each other and also with the target individual against their will in a sexual manner while they are monitoring you. And this is also relevant to when you're having sex with demon possessed people. You're having sex, first of all, with a creature You're literally having sex with the spirit of Satan that is obsessed with your physical anatomy, your genital. It's extraordinarily perverted what Satan is doing with your physical vessel as a demon that wants to possess you, and the closest that they can get to you is to have sex with you and be in your private areas. And I don't want to get any more graphic than that, but this is exactly why fornication, adultery, and whatnot, when you're having sex with demons, you have no idea what you are subjecting. Your body is a temple, and you are really soiling it in ways in which you cannot even comprehend. And if you knew, many of you, okay, there are people who are born to die, they are never going to come to Christ, and you know, that's something that, but if you knew, the average person, about 98% of you would not do it if you knew. Okay, but the reality is, this is why God in love has told us things to protect us, not to, certainly not to harm you, obviously, but it's also not to just make your life boring and not ever have anything exciting to do. I'm like, man, I can't do anything. No, you don't understand what Satan wants to do to your vessel, the way in which he wants to violate you. And as he violates you, he violates and changes and mars your mind. That's what's monitoring my vagina. It's a spirit. And it speaks to obsession, the fact that they engage in that literally by being an engineer light, repeatedly entering the door code. And I'm walking outside and I'm letting you know, not only is that, this is the P.O.C. Key is a lesbian, okay? These are sex offenders and monitoring. You're sharing and monitoring another woman, her private conduct in the bathroom, her genitalia in particular, and then you're mad because I'm calling you what you are. You are a homosexual predator. And also, you're going to pay me. That's Stater Brothers, that's a sex offender, a corporate actor, a person under the law engaging in criminal activity. With the government, that's an idiot. Don't forget about Pastor Jeanette. She's still being prosecuted today. It doesn't stop when she's targeting me inside of that fake church service. This is an entity that's engaging in that. At no point today will the sun remain in Ontario when I'm in Upland to be at any point over Bethel Congregational Church, where my evidence already shows us they're over in the morning at 7 a.m. and after 5 p.m. So when is it ever going to be over Stater Brothers? And when is it ever going to be in Upland, California? This is the evidence that surrounds the stalker that's monitoring my vagina, who is very much engaged in homosexual predatory conduct of a psychopathic nature, engaging in what is stalking somebody in a bathroom, and then being outside of that bathroom with flashing light because you're monitoring another person's vagina. That is safeguard on demand. This is the P.O.C. All right, these are the various companies that are being prosecuted at the same time while they share that P.O.C. And the homosexuals of the U.S. military are highly lacking in any sort of tactics. All right, they're lacking in intelligence. They're lacking in strategy. They are wide open with regard to me investigating them, me prosecuting them, me exposing them, and also letting you know how unintelligent it is and how you can identify it even yourself. And no one will ever mistake you or defame you because it's a criminal act with regard to reporting the entity that is proven to be engaging in surveillance in the United States. You can report it. You will be able to report it. That's what's happening. This is the pattern of conduct. This is vagina monitoring by Stater Brothers. All right, and vagina monitoring is put in the vernacular for that purpose, to embarrass everybody. You're obsessed with Erica Spencer's vagina, and you had the audacity to say what you got, which she documented on the podcast. Oh, so then you're going to call her names and try to insult her with regard to her economic status, which is caused by you who are stalking her, who stole from her. You need to understand the entity is going to be subject to prison for this and damages. Safeguard on demand, license 9CYD514. All right, that's the P.O.C. That's vagina monitoring, the perpetual sex offense committed by Stater Brothers Markets, headquartered in San Bernardino, California. All right, everybody under the fake sun knows exactly where I'm at, including in the bathroom. So you have a whole bunch of gay, old, and young females who are demons, who are violent sex offenders, and they are engaging in the pattern of conduct with those who are equally predatory of the male gender. They're all demons. P.O.C. That is indeed engaging in what is not only are they stalking, but they're engaging in what is a threat. Now, this is the entity Royal Construction that we're stalking with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, sharing in the pattern of conduct and doing so pursuant to what is a fail and retaliation because you're monitoring somebody that's documenting you when that's only going to be submitted in federal court for you to serve prison time. This is F Street in San Antonio, and this is where I was at days ago, where Los Angeles County Sheriff are under the fake sun stalking stalking. This is where the entity is stalking by commercial plane where there are no takeoffs, and they are also engaging in what is stalking in the environment where the fake sun is present. This is the same street where Royal Construction is monitoring right now, and I can go down this same street 6 hours from now and the fake sun will still be over, which is the environment where surveillance is underway, and they engage in harassment and targeting while I'm walking up and down the street with the people of the state. That included Los Angeles County Sheriff, and that is the U.S. military, stalking with the plane, no passengers on it. That's how important I am. All right, and my importance is relevant to what is prosecuting Royal Construction and prosecuting the gang stalkers engaging in that pattern of conduct at this venue. This is across the street from what is 606, where the entity is engaging what is, that's supposed to be a takeoff where you hear the plane. That's Southwest Airlines. They've gotten so many people prosecuted that the Southwest Airlines is going to be put out of business. But that's the entity that is engaged in stalking. And this is pacing, and these are the mentally ill that put themselves in prison. And all I do is capture on video because this is a conviction that's already secure. This is P.O.C. This is what Los Angeles County Sheriff were participating in. And this is what I'm documenting where the entity is engaging with a surveillance through that neighborhood. This is F as in Frank in San Antonio, which is west of Euclid Avenue. So, and remember, the entity is keeping the fake sun. Currently, it's 8:05 a.m. The fake sun's remaining over me while I am at the Ovid Family Community Library, which I captured on video, where the entity is west of that location, starting the car's activity creation, and the entity is flying over the people of the state who are all engaging in surveillance, who are being prosecuted as a neighborhood, as a city, while the military uses commercial planes to maintain surveillance around. And it's also relevant to what you're going to prosecute for, which is psychological torture, harassment, obstruction, while you're being documented. The entity is just accumulating charges, time in prison, damages. Martial law is being substantiated and supported. Loss of the privileges, California licensure, commercial and those that are using them for the vehicles on the roads and the highways to engage in criminal surveillance. This is the P.O.C. All right, this is a visual regarding what the entity is doing as I'm walking north of Euclid Avenue to Upland, where the entity is maintaining this environment pursuant to stalking. These are demons that are stalking with impossible light across my person while they're driving. Even this being the fake sun is not the explanation of that. They are indeed stalkers, and so is Royal Construction. Engaging targeting me with the Ontario Police Department, with the U.S. military that are stalking in planes. The entity doing so while I am documenting them, which is engagement in what is a pattern of conduct that is intended to psychologically torture, threaten, retaliate while you are reporting the entity that is targeting you in furtherance of murder. They're doing it under the fake sun, which is scientific evidence to have the entity not just prosecuted as well, but what is committed. This is activity creation. So it's not private activity, it's not private property, it's state action, and the government is in this video serving to prosecute them as well. License 8WJX401. That would never create what is light activity across any sort of substance, any sort of surface, okay? And the entity that's engaging in that conduct is engaging in that conduct pursuant to monitoring, and they're demons. All right, this is P.O.C. It is currently 8:06 a.m. The entity has been documented last week. I'm walking up and down the street in the morning and then in the afternoon, and the same conduct under that fake sun is documented. And that's prosecuting one that I'm targeting with evidence, P.O.C. It is currently 8:15 a.m., so you're paying attention to the images that I capture as an entity is stalking at every stop sign, everywhere I'm stopping. Stalkers, such as license plate 8 Robert Jerry Bob 836, and this is an oversized, extra large demon that is operating this vehicle, stalking under the fake sun at I as in Indiana and San Antonio, stalking on the roads and the highways, okay? That's the P.O.C. Can't fit in his car. Okay, I'm sure has problems finding something to put on his vessel, but he went through all that so he can gang stalk me. 9BSJ437. This is the entity that does the same thing by crouching in bathroom stalls, and it is entirely pathetic. License 9LTS132 with her dog in the back seat. The City of Ontario is gang stalking as well, going out of their way, crossing path in vehicles that Leon has provided funds for in order to use for a criminal purpose, which he is not ignorant of, nor will under the law will that be overlooked. And it is a basis to remove and prosecute funding terrorism. While they're engaging in what is mentally ill behavior as a municipality. And that which is mentally ill practiced by a company is the basis to remove that company from existence. Okay, it is currently 8:16 a.m. and that's relevant to the images that I am capturing of stalking on the roads and the highways as an entity under a fake sun that's moving in real time. This is a P.O.C. I'm at this same intersection, I and San Antonio, in the middle of the afternoon, where the entity is stalking me by black helicopter that flew in circles. Remember that? Spectacular evidence. That is evidence against an entire entity. And all the license plates in that video, all of them are going to prison. It's psychopathic pacing, which includes the city of Ontario, including when they're conspicuously stalking like they are now, mentally ill, using a dumpster truck, exhibiting psychopathic disorders of stalking someone with light, stalking someone maliciously, stalking someone as an entity, stalking someone even while it's no longer a mystery to that person and they are aware of that pattern of conduct, and you are even keeping that evidence under surveillance, which then incentivizes that psychopath to engage in more harms that are also then documented. This is an entity that's doing so at this same location where I am present in the afternoon. This is at 9:08 San Antonio. At I.I.S in San Antonio, the entity flew over by stalking with Delta Airlines. That was the military. Homosexuals, mentally ill. And then the entity flew over by helicopter, as I documented, which you are absolutely going to do. And the federal courts that are going to put these demons in prison witness that evidence, and they are witnessing the phenomenon, the impossibility that the sun will be over me in the morning. Okay, and that's exactly what is the case at what is 8:17 a.m. where I've documenting video yesterday of the entity stalking me by helicopter during this at around the same time when I'm remaining stationary at one location. That's the Ovid Family Community Library. These are the stalkers that are surrounded. Okay, license 1497520. That is Ontario Montclair School District, who are gang stalkers. All right, so you need to understand the threat to children who are engaged in criminal monitoring as well. But look at who they are in the custody of. Look at who is impressing upon them. Look at who are those who are in custody of them, who are exposing the minors to this conduct while they share in it. The school districts are gang stalking, the bus drivers are gang stalking, the schools themselves are gang stalking, and the students themselves. All right, but you have a whole system that is designed for that, regardless of the fact that these are curses that then are being born, and these are literally, they come out of the womb demons. They come out cursed, and that's because their parents are demons. But nonetheless, you're talking about what is the government interest? The government interest is the contribution to the delinquency of minors and the criminal activity that they are sharing in with the government and also with the people of the state, which is a basis to remove minor children from their custody, especially while the people of the state show such mentally ill means levels of obsession. Like, they bring their kids along to stalk me. They include their kids while they're stalking me, meaning their kids are stalking me as well. And they are engaging in that with their parents, who are deranged. They're psychotic. They're sex offenders, they're stalkers, they're murderers, and they have custody of children as well. You're going to analyze every level of that. There are levels to that. All right, but nonetheless, this is the P.O.C. and it is 8:19 a.m. This is speaking to the significance. You don't ignore the pictures that are taken. They are capturing the ongoing pattern of conduct. Stalkers, as an entity, is stalking me from place to place. I'm walking north on San Antonio. I am deviating far from Ovid Family Community Library, and so is that fake sun. Alrighty, license 7PZY855 at J Street and San Antonio Avenue at 8:20 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, this is a note regarding what is obvious. I've made every detail of this case clear in order to prosecute, and also those that are a part of what is a criminal pattern of conduct, what is mentally ill, what is sexually perverted, what is satanic. So even were someone supposedly stating, haha, just kidding, I'm not really a cult member, I'm just an undercover federal agent. The demons that are in positions like Jason Isaac Fields are hard pressed to understand and accept the fact that they are entirely unwelcome, okay, and entirely disqualified, regardless of how one as delusional as Jason Fields, who would on the one hand claim that they have so many options, but yet they are obsessively stalking and monitoring me. If you have options, then you need to by all means pursue those options and leave someone that is clearly stating to the public, in order that your stalking conduct be a matter of information and no judge deny me justice to prosecute you. All right, and this is an entity that is engaging in that, and I do not care. It is not a matter to me And it's not some promise from God that this vagina monitor that was having sex with Tracy under any circumstances is one that I'm going to associate with. I do not care. He was not an undercover fed at Valley College. Okay? He's a peon with an oversized forehead. Very skinny, unattractive, and annoying even then. He was a demon gang stalking at Valley College. He's a peon. He's a loser, and that's why he's so weak-minded and engaged in this conduct of joining a cult. Okay, the level of, I do not respect that, and so I'm going to keep my own personal opinions of the person that would engage in that and what is necessarily wrong with you. But it'll suffice it to say, I don't care if you claim yourself to be some sort of informant or some sort of federal agent at whatever point that took place, or if you're just a vagina monitor that's engaging in the pattern of conduct altogether. There is no basis whereby, oh, it's okay because you were investigating and you weren't actually, I don't care. That's the point. People don't understand that. I do not care. I do not care. And Jason Fields is one that is a demon that is engaging in the P.O.C, who is equally lost, equally pathetic, equally not a man. You're not a man. You are not any sort of, I don't care the fact that you're not husband material, but you don't have to rise up to my standards. One of your options that are much lesser are who you need to go pursue. And this is put it on in my evidence because it is relevant to prosecuting this person that is violating my rights. This is a life of being stalked and targeted by people who are deranged and obsessive and are always thinking that they're the ones that's going to control me and they're going to change my mind, and it's something that I don't understand and I'm just confused, and it'll be different with you. It'll be different when I understand this. Jason Fields is blocked. Period. Jason Fields is somebody I have no interest. I will not be conversing with. There is nothing that I'm going to in the future come to understand because I will not be conversing with him. And I maintain that right to do so. I am not interested. And I will not become interested, and I will not be forced without me prosecuting you. And if you're attempting to force me by being in my presence and I'm documenting and stalking. The only means whereby that could happen is if I'm in a court hearing and Jason Fields is subpoenaed, forced to be there in that courtroom. That's the only time. In which case, I still won't be conversing with him of my own volition. It won't be a conversation. It'll be a court proceeding, and that's fine. All right, other than that, it will not happen. This is somebody who is on this opposite side away from me because of the decision that he made. He's a loser. And those of you who are witnessing are also looking at and paying attention to the life decisions that you're making, because you have people out here that are trying to lead you to hell and are being horrible examples, while their horrible examples are actually uplifted and treated as though it is the way to go. It's what you should do. And that's, again, serving Satan's purposes out here. So you have what is this, and I also want to be clear, when you are walking with Christ, you do as the Lord God leads you to do. Now, that's not going to contradict Scripture, but at the same time, the Lord God may call you to reconcile with someone, and even in that, because I have my own relationship with the Lord, and there's that which I am commanded to do, and that which I have the freedom to use my discretion of what I want to do, as long as I'm not in sin in doing that. I don't have to talk to Jason Fields ever again, and I'm not going to. And he is not, and the Lord God is not leading me to communicate with him at all. It's not going to happen. And I am entirely disgusted on top of that. The reason is abundantly clear. I'm documenting it. All right, this is not a friend, and it's not going to become a friend, and this is somebody that is totally irrelevant. He is not useful. I do not need him. He is not any sort of source. He's been engaged in the pattern of conduct and is doing so with regard to what is merely being a pest. And engaging in something like you're some sort of person or this entity testing me. Who are you to test me while I'm being targeted? What? You're not testing me, you're targeting me. You're monitoring me. And then you're delusional. You think we're going to have a conversation. That's because there really is something wrong with you. And you need to be humbled through humiliation that everybody else is witnessing. Because when I say no, that's exactly what I mean. And you are nobody, you are no exception. You're not. I'm the exception, and I'm not even trying to be arrogant. It's the reality. That's why you're stalking and monitoring me. I am the exception, and you are the one that's engaging what is obsessing over me. And the exception is speaking to the fact that you're not even worthy. You're not even worthy. I will not be talking to Jason Fields. It will never happen. This is a loser, and this is someone that I would advise my daughter, I would advise my friend's daughter, I would advise my niece, I would advise any woman to stay away from. Based on what he has already done, he's already spoken to who he is and what he is capable of. That's what I would say. This is an entity that's engaged in that. Tracy Banks celebrating. I don't care about this psychopath. She's going to expire in a cell. She doesn't even understand what is actually happening. She's psychotic. Okay? She thinks that she won because she had sex. I don't care. He's a loser. Anybody that would listen to this half-witted Jezebel is not my husband in the first place. You're talking about what is a high-level test. And you failed it because you're not worthy, period. You're the only one that can't reconcile that and can't accept it. But it doesn't change that it's reality. Just like how the fake sun does not go away because you keep your back to it. It doesn't change. And I'm still gonna prosecute you the same. You're delusional. You're in denial, meaning you're weak. You are not it at every level. You're not it, and it's not going to happen. And all your co-defendants are out here gang stalking, and they're celebrating it, by the way. That's your loss, and you are a loser. And you need to go and pursue all of your so-called wonderful options. If they're so wonderful, then you need to leave me alone. Because you're not getting anywhere other than being embarrassed by me. That's all you're getting is embarrassment. Jason Fields has never been relevant. He's never been a romantic situation at all. He was having sex with people that I knew. And in all manner of relationships. This is a coward. He's a little boy. He's literally a little boy. This is not a man. And on top of that, he's a cult member. You know how weak you are to be a part of this type of stuff? You're so weak. You're not even a man. You're not marriage material for anybody, but I'm not counseling anyone. And this is not speaking downward. This is somebody that targeted me. This is somebody that's been a part of this pattern of conduct. And just like anybody else, the audacity for you, a feces consumer, to speak down on my name because you're a demon, meaning this is Satan that wants to be me. The reality is Satan is being obsessed with me and was really convinced as long as nobody knows the truth and everybody's echoing the same sentiments, then that makes reality. That's how demons operate. And Jason Fields is a part of that weak society of losers. They're all losers. They're all wannabes. And they can't even act like even if they were successful, what are you going to do trying to replace me? What's your talent? What are you going to do, Satan? Okay, because the BBL and doing the splits and twerking, that's not it. That ain't going to cut it. What is your talent? What are you going to do? How are you going to replace me? You can't. You cannot. It's pathetic. And you're still stalking for it's pathetic. This spirit that I'm prosecuting is what is inside of Jason Fields. Do you understand? You can hear it in my tone of voice, but people like demons like Jason Fields are possessed by their obsession, which is also satanic. This has nothing to do with anybody that is any husband material to me. It will never happen because of what he chose to do with regard to his genitalia and people that he never should have touched. Because you touch them, you are eternally blocked from me. It will never happen. There are certain things you're not going to do while you're qualified to be with people in your future, whether you know that or not. You're just not going to do certain things. It's not about the fact that absolutely Jesus forgives and he covers, but do you think that I'm going to be with some former serial killer? Because you're confused. I will not. It's not going to happen. It will never happen. God is not calling me to that. All right? And you're talking about what is prudent for you to know who it is that you're involved with. Know what it is that they're into. All right? Because that's letting you know spiritual truth about them. All right? And this is an entity that's engaged in that. And I don't care about the state of Jason Fields' walk with Jesus, if it even exists. I do not care. That does not make you my husband. It literally doesn't. You're literally married to somebody else. And bottom line, you left me outside. You weren't even a friend to me, let alone a man that I would ever actually take seriously. Are you kidding me? This is beyond pathetic. It's not even serious. But this is the reason why I speak in this manner so as to defecate on the notion is because of the absurdity of even the suggestion. It's an insult. This is somebody who is a peasant. This is somebody who is beneath me, who is unworthy. And this is why he was engaging and fraternizing with a bunch of losers who want to be me. And he wasn't smart enough and wise enough and much of a man to think for himself and recognize that. You didn't have to do so because you were romantically interested. You could have done so by being merely a man, a decent human being. That's what you could have done. You failed that test. And it's not going to be some readmission in 2028, 8 years later. You're not a hero. You're not my friend. You're not a partner. You're not getting any way in. And you're also not going to be able to secretly misrepresent that fact. That's why it's all over my podcast. That's why it's all in the evidence. Okay? This is the reality. The reason why Tracy Banks can celebrate is because you are the one that accepted fellatio. You want to call Jezebel, you want to call her a hoe, but you were accepting everything that hoe was giving you. You were loving it. You were a part of it. You're just as guilty. That's like saying, well, you know, I didn't plan to kill that person. It was her mom that wanted me to do it. Okay, so you're going to be convicted for murder, and you've engaged in that murder by admission, conspiring that with the mother of the victim. That is not changing the criminal act committed. These are demons that don't understand. There's no feelings here. It's a prosecution. And everything that you committed, you did it in a manner to where you're going to live with it, because I'm not going anywhere. You're not sacrificing me. And the only reason why you quote unquote feel guilty is because your intended victim is walking around, skipping, actually prancing, dancing, all right? And is doing so frolicking, thriving, and doing intellectual laps around you, embarrassing you, exposing you, prosecuting you, humiliating you. That's why you quote unquote feel guilty, which is not genuine. And even so, it's even beyond that. I do not care if you become a Christ follower this afternoon and you come to Jesus and you are absolutely genuinely transformed, which is a matter of the heart that only the Lord God knows. Even if that were the fact, understand I am not obligated to talk to anyone, and I will not be out under any circumstances ever dealing with Jason Fields. Ever again. He made a life decision back when he was a little peon at 19, 20 years old, and that is nobody else's fault but his own. Because you can't control your genitalia, because your mother and father didn't teach you well, because you don't know how to live your life and think for yourself, not my problem at all. Not my problem. This is an entity that's engaging in that P.O.C. and Jason Fields will not be reconciling with me, is not a hero, is not working with me, it's not giving me anything, is not helping me. I'm outside documenting this by myself. Including while you're claiming that, oh, no, he's not. No, he is not. He's not doing anything other than what the Lord God is permitting. And that includes while you attack me, the Lord God is permitting for you to attack me because you are in a position to receive what you have reaped. You can't do anything other than what the Lord God allows to his children. You can't do anything but that. So you're not taking credit in the same way for helping. No, you're not helping when you're first targeting. This is somebody that's trying to make right. I don't care. That's between you and the Lord. I don't care about any of that. There is no way to buy your way back into my affections. And by buy, I mean to work I don't care about any of that. The only one that is going to be acknowledged is the one that was there from the beginning and never abandoned, never betrayed, never made those sort of epic mistakes that you cannot take back and apologize for. Period. You can't undo 8 years of homelessness. You can't undo a loss of 10 years of my career as an attorney, where I was a winner way back in the day when they were gang stalking and they were hating on me and trying to defame somebody while you're the one that is harassing me in an interview because you don't want to hire me. That does not make someone a loser or a failure at all. This is what this entity has been doing. They're envious losers. And now, at the end of that entire long strategy targeting, you feel guilty and somebody is supposed to care? Like, it makes me want to puke. It's not going to happen. You give whatever you want to the Fed. You say whatever you want about. I don't care. I don't care when you're lying about my character. I don't care when you call yourself complimenting me. I do not care about what you think. I don't care. Clearly, it's not premised upon, and this is not premised upon the opinions of the very ones that are engaging who are being prosecuted. While you thought you were in control, and you don't control anything. I'm actually in control, and I'm prosecuting you. And if you violate my rights, you are not in any position to change who you are and who you have been. So give all your compliments and stay back. Give me 50 feet. You come and violate my boundaries that I have clearly stated publicly, and I will prosecute you. That's what I want to make sure is clear. That is period. Nobody that had anything to do with this is going along anywhere with me. It's not going to happen. And you are being made an example of. That's why. It will not happen. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 8:36. Right, it's currently 8:38 a.m. You will see Diversified Landscape Company engaging in the same mentally ill conduct as a company, stalking using commercial vehicles. That's a prosecution of the corporate entity itself. That is engaged in stalking by helicopter, so those Latino males are all going to prison. And that same company, the same entity, is gang stalking on the bridge at San Antonio over the 10 freeway under the fake SEN, license 69400J3. And they are simultaneously facilitating monitoring myself in furtherance of murder with hundreds of people that are crossing path on the 10 freeway. So I'm documenting damages, and the entity is doing so under the fake SEN. All right, this is the entity that's doing so 1551, I believe, which is San Antonio Avenue, where I'm at what is 8:38 a.m. It's 8:39 a.m. And the entity is gang stalking in all their homes, maintaining light activity, and its psychopathic pacing, its systematic surveillance. This is the same conduct that you saw UTILIQuest. I referred to her as Lily White, Lily. The entity was gang stalking. She was using a commercial vehicle light activity stalking right here. California Highway Patrol doing the same pattern of conduct. The entity is doing so with regard to the maintenance of light activity while they are stalking with the possible light that strolls all the way across the walls while they're driving under what is clearly not the sun that's simultaneously sitting at the Ovid Family Community Library. This is the entity that's surrounded with that evidence, okay? License plate 9RGPZ66, stalking, license 9XX 9 Xavier Sam 974, 8 Sam George Robert 413, I believe. And this is P.O.C. This is light activity. So you'll see the light activity. That's what I'm taking pictures of. You will see the fake sun that is moving in step with me. That is the entirety of the 10 freeway. This is stalking under the law. And it's a surveillance system by the government. You're going to prosecute civilly. You're going to recover for this massive and inhumane means of violating your privacy, your rights. It's criminal stalking by an entity. It is the pattern of conduct. Okay? And Diversified Landscape Company, license 576183, California 147848. This is the basis to remove companies from existence. The basis to also prison. The employees that I documented stalking by helicopter, they're all engaged in federal stalking. This is damages that are designed to remove these companies from existence. The damages that you accumulate from this, that you recover from these corporate entities that are engaged in surveillance, are designed to destroy those companies. It's designed to, oh, well, we can't survive anymore after paying the target individual damages. That's the purpose of assigning damages. All right, it exceeds what is under tortious law, meaning to punish. It exceeds punishment. It's designed to remove the company from existence. That's how much damages you are assigning when an entity is engaging what Diversified Landscape Company is, and doing so as a means of a pattern of conduct. All right, they're doing so under the guise of what is shoulder work. Diversified Landscape Company, using the signage under the fake sun. This is public corruption. This is how it exists. This is how it appears. And they're engaging in that with the entity that is along the 10 freeway. All right, and these are people, all the people on the 10 freeway know that the target individual, California, is engaged in this system. They know exactly who I am. They know where I'm at. And your ability to know what they know is the evidence of the fake sun. They're demons. This is P.O.C. Diversified Landscape Company is a corporate entity that is engaged in state surveillance with the U.S. military and furtherance of murder, and that is absolutely a basis to remove that company while they are engaging in it and facilitating it amongst a population. And they're doing so, which is a matter of scientific evidence to prosecute beyond a reasonable doubt. Okay? It is currently 8:42 a.m. This is P.O.C. License plate 8 David Robert Mary 887. That's a dark-skinned Latino male with black hair, closely shaven, wearing glasses, driving what is a 4-door sedan, perhaps a Nissan. Doing so at what is 9:06 a.m. stalking me. So the entity is stalking me by being on the opposite side of the street. I'm taking images of where I'm at right now at 9:06 a.m. in the city of Upland. Remember, the entity is maintaining the fake sun over me when I'm in the city of Ontario yesterday. And that's also evidence that that third party whose license plate I just recited, which is the prosecution of an entity, not just that third party, is doing so as a government system, as a population, as a city, as a neighborhood, as you practically apply these facts. He is stalking me as a demon while I am walking on the opposite side of the street, walking north toward the Upland Public Library, doing so at 9:07 a.m. And while simultaneous to, in other words, to his being in a vehicle driving on the road, Impossible light activity touches the Western Christian High School, home of the Lancers sign, this massive sign that they have. Light touches that object while he is on the street, and they all mimic the same conduct. And this is the facts that surround the fake sun, the presence in that environment where everybody acts like they don't know what's going on and they don't know you while that environment is around. That's the entity that is mentally ill, that is requiring martial law. This is the entity that murders people. And with regard to there being a cult, they are engaging in what is a ritual in order to sacrifice you, and it's public corruption as well. This is what the mayor's engaged in, the governor's engaged in, every department, all the heads of those departments, while I've also documented the police, the fire department, the city employees. I documented the ambulance operators, the EMTs. I've documented the city hall. I documented the hospital. I documented the court. I have documented the police department, that literally where the police stations are at. I've documented the county sheriff department where they are jailing, who are the people of the state maintaining a surveillance system while engaging in what is this pattern of conduct, including in those facilities. I've documented every aspect of it, and including on the roads and the highways where they are all stalking. And they're all stalking one person. I am that target individual, and I am speaking on behalf of those that are already dead who have been subject to this. And they are subject to it by those who are demons. And all of them are in positions of government as well, as they are sharing this entity, this pattern of conduct by an entity that is making up a corrupt government as well, a whole corrupt system. Okay? This is P.O.C. It is currently 9:08 a.m. That's P.O.C. That's amplification of a demon operating a commercial vehicle, monitoring me in the city of UPLAND. That's the significance of what you hear in the engineered light, pursuant to what is presence that is, in fact, unlawful. The government maintains no warrant, probable cause, or legitimate government interest to maintain surveillance through everyone, everywhere that are sharing in that criminal and satanic pattern of conduct. It's currently 9:41 a.m. and this is in Upland, California, which is also how you know that everything that you hear is intentional. The entity is engaging in a pattern of conduct regarding what is monitoring while the fake sun's over me at the Upland City Hall in the parking lot, while demons, including Carissa, who was documented yesterday at the Ovid Family Community Library, where I am not in Upland, where she works, at 1:13 p.m., where she is gang stalking me under a fake sun that's over me in the city of Ontario 24 hours later, in an environment that is irreconcilable, where she will be federally prosecuted and there is no attorney on earth that can help her. Okay? Now, under the Constitution, she's fully entitled to, and everybody pay attention because this is the same for you. Everybody's entitled to your day in court. This is the United States of America, and contrary to your behavior, we actually have a civilized criminal court system, and you get your day in court, but you are going to be convicted because there is no constitutional or legally relevant, in other words, defense. Under the fake sun is where Carissa is at work, which is systematic facilitation. And as she gang stalks me with impunity, she belongs in prison, which is where she's going. This is just evidence showing her behavior, showing her cold-blooded, calculated engagement in a pattern of conduct against someone who also knows it. And Carissa continuously engages in that ongoing predatory, psychopathic pattern of conduct with the government. She's a demon, so that's why she doesn't have a conscience, and that is all based on her conduct. This is none of me. It's just I'm just openly just giving just unwarranted, unsupported opinions about somebody. No, this is based on her pattern of conduct, her objective engagement, her affirmative criminal acts in the pattern of conduct. So the fake sun that is over me, and this is the people that say, I do not. This is the pattern of conduct that is underway, and the entity is maintaining that fake sun over me at 1:13 in the afternoon, which is also going to prosecute Carissa, because while I'm at the same venue right now at 9:43 a.m. and I capture that fake sun, how is it anything other than her gang stalking, as you understand the pattern of conduct, that it would be over my head inside of her place of work at 1:13 p.m. Okay, that's the P.O.C. The entity is engaging in this through the people of the state. And the U.S. Marine Corps are present and doing so with, for example, license 9 Uncle Mary George 360. This is a vagina monitor that is representing the United States Marine Corps. They are a gang stalking terrorist. All right. And they are representing the U.S. Marine Corps that is monitoring in Upland, California. And they are intentionally and knowingly in that environment gang stalking. They're monitoring me right now while I merely read their license plate outside. This is surveillance. So everybody that's engaging in surveillance is now being documented as such, and there is no exception to that. And that's not because I say so, it's because I've proven that. And you have a whole supernatural environment that courts are informed by, and they are also in that environment. And even so, justice will still be provided. Imagine that, Satan. But the entities engaging in this and the supernatural features of this pattern of conduct is informing massive corruption and knowledge, shared knowledge. They've maintained this environment, the government, and the government is acting through the people who are not individuals because they're engaging in the government's pattern of conduct. So you have stepped outside of the benefits of the Constitution, including KS014 in a white Sienna van, documented gang stalking in Upland, California. And you have steps outside of the protections of the Constitution, just like any other law. These laws are not created in order to be exploited by the government and a population that, oh, I'm a private citizen, so I can gang stalk you even while I'm living there. No, you will not. That's not what these laws are created for, and that's exactly what the government is doing. It is not private property where surveillance by the government, by definition, by the public entity is underway. The government is in violation of the privacy laws while the people of the state engage in that, and you're not going to exploit that and blur that line. This is what they're doing maliciously, and this is how you are intellectually approaching that, and you're going to prosecute it under the law literally by what they're doing. It's just the ability to know what they're doing. That's where you're getting into. This is supernatural, and this supernatural pattern of conduct is getting to what is absolutely not impervious and fully provable with tangible evidence, submissible in the court in order to prosecute and get justice, even while they are demons. So the entities engaging in that conduct, and that's that level of corruption, they all know. They know while I read their license plate, they know what I'm doing on my phone. I am prosecuting for you. You are witnessing those that are engaging in witchcraft, witches. They're engaging in what is magic, which is a lower satanic imitation that cannot contend with the power of God. Magic is not contending with the Holy Spirit. You are no formidable adversary with regard to Christ, who has already conquered the grave. This is why Satan is being so embarrassed. That's why there are no amount of demons that will be successful. And it doesn't matter even if you're bearing a weapon and engaging in kidnapping. Guess what, cowboy? You're going to prison. I promise you. You're going to federal prison. This is the entity that's engaging in that conduct, and there is nothing that can contend with that. God himself is exposing what Satan is doing. And Satan is psychotic. So Satan will prove to you that I'm right by stalking me in real time by helicopters and airplanes. And guess what? They're going to prison. They're going to prison. This is the P.O.C. though. So Carissa is engaged in targeting, and Carissa is doing so. And her license plate, I'm going to go ahead and recite it while she is targeting me, while the demons are pacing into the Upland Public Library before its time of entry at 10 a.m. And she is doing so with the demons that it does not matter whether you call it peanut butter and jelly afternoon. It doesn't matter if you want to call it the farmer's market. It doesn't matter if you want to call it like an Ontario movie night. It doesn't matter if you want to call it let's read along with Bill Velto on Thursday morning. It's under the fake sun. It is the pattern of conduct, period. All right, and this is what the entity is doing, and it's called malice. Alrighty, so it does not matter what the event is, and this is what the entity is doing. So they're pacing in and out of the Upland Public Library under the fake sun, monitoring me, and that's also proven because the fake sun is over me at 1:13 p.m., which I captured on video. And I also documented Carissa, who's targeting me, and Carissa is being targeted with evidence to make sure that she is put in cages where psychopaths like that who are roaming amongst us, who harbor malice and animosity and plot evil against innocent people that don't even know her. And she assumes that she can get away with it because she's acting with the government that'll fly circles over you and kidnap you and do so because you have the audacity to speak against Carissa. Carissa's a vagina monitor, and she will get locked up, and anybody else is targeting me with her. Carissa is no powerful actor whatsoever. She's pathetic. She's a stalker. Okay? And that's an entity that is targeting, and that's why you need backup. That's why you need backup. There's no amount of demons that are going to win against Christ. This was a suicide mission. All right, Carissa's license plate is 7 Mary Bob George 181. She is indeed gang stalking at the Upland Public Library, where there is no place of belonging. It's the government's pattern of conduct, and the government is maintaining criminal surveillance through the employment of Carissa at the Upland Public Library, where every employee they're all subject to federal prison. Every single last one of them. Alrighty, and this is the venue where the entities, all they're doing is all day long, driving around the venue, driving around 2nd Avenue, Arrow, Euclid, and D Street over and over again, driving around that psychopathic pacing while the fake sun sits over the Upland Public Library. It's a ritual. You're going to analyze their behavior while they practice witchcraft, which is analyzing the physical manifestation of mental illness, the pacing conduct, the repetitious pacing, the ongoing increase in that behavior as they are exposed as stalkers who are demons engaging in very peculiar conduct under what is actually relevant regarding to their shared mental illness and i.e. corruption, a fake son. All right, and they're just going around and around and around and around and around and around and sounding sirens all day long. Stalking all day long. And you also add that into what is acting like you're focused on stacking the books. When you use the stacking of the books to stalk me with noise, and it's not a secret. It's not a secret. So this is a study to your mental illness that everyone else is witnessing, and it will be the basis of martial law while a population is being literally psychologically evaluated while I prosecute them for criminal activity. This is the pattern of conduct. It is currently 9:50 a.m. What was that I'm doing?
Excuse me?
What was it that I'm doing that's bothering you in the bathroom stall?
Flushing the toilet.
Oh,
and
okay.
you know what you do. I don't need to repeat it.
This is P.O.C. This is the Ontario City Hall.
No, I'm just trying to mind my own
This
business.
is the same one that's in the Upland.
How can I protect myself front of the bathroom and air?
Just like she did flushing the toilet. Okay.
Yeah,
This is the
I'm
audible
here.
activity
There
that
is
is
no
monitoring.
bar.
This is mental illness, and this is a demon that's
Go
stalking in
ahead.
the bathroom. And I want to be clear, the mental illness is shared by all of them.
Yeah,
It's not
get
just this
your
one. That's the POC.
FBI.
She's going to be committed. This is
FBI.
POC. It is currently 9:57 a.m. This is psychological torture, and this is surveillance in a bathroom.
Just stop bothering the bathroom, okay?
Yeah, that's
because-
POC. It's under the fake sun as well. This is an entity
We
speaking.
all need some.
Upland City Hall, 460 North Euclid Avenue. It is currently 9:57 a.m.
Trashing the
POC.
bathrooms like you do. You know you do. It's not too much
That's
to ask.
a demon
I don't want to talk
talking.
to you. I don't want to hear your mental problems, whatever mine are. They're not like yours. Hi.
That's POC. She's going to be committed. That's POC. This is stalking in the bathroom.
What to do. Just leave the bathroom alone here, please.
That's a demonic
Or I will
spirit.
rat you out, okay? I want to do that. Everybody's not going down, promise. And I've got mine, and I want to deal with you, too.
This is the same one that's engaging
understand
in
that?
surveillance in the bathroom in the Upland
Do you
Public
understand
Library.
that?
And she's the same one that goes to Ontario Ovid, like I documented historically. And this is an entity. Don't just isolate her as being mentally ill. This is an entity.
No, I
This is
mean
a
it.
demon.
Okay, if
That's
I
a
come in here,
POC.
see that?
It is currently 9:58 a.m. This is
We'll rat
POC.
you out.
It is currently, just want to be clear, stalking in the path in the engineer light and was already present in order to engage in monitoring and is literally stating as audible activity that if they're annoyed. You're annoyed while you're coming to stalk me, by the way. But you're annoyed while you're flushing the toilet, which is why you're in the bathroom. Just stating. POC. That's activity creation. That is pacing. That's just pacing. After coming in while I'm using my device, making sure, and that's the entity that is gang stalking under the fake sun. This is the City Hall. Okay, this is the women's restroom. This is psychopathic pacing. They're monitoring together. They are sex offenders in the city of Upland. That's while it's remaining in Ontario, and this is the fake sun. Okay, that is indeed P.O.C. This is the Upland City Hall where the sex offense is underway. While I'm in the bathroom in Upland Public Library, the sex offense is underway and the Upland City Hall is sharing in that as well. All right, while they are entering under the fake sun, these are demons that are monitoring, and they're monitoring my vagina while I'm mentally ill, and they all share the same mental illness. It's not an individual that's speaking, that's a satanic spirit, which is engaging in mentally ill behavior that they share in, and she also happens to be one that engages in heavy surveillance. She sits in the bathroom, waits for me to come in for hours. And you know that because this fake sun is still present at 1:35 in the afternoon, and it's present after 5 p.m. It's present when I walk from here back to Ontario, where yesterday it remained in Ontario, okay? That was the entity speaking, the entity that is mentally ill. And I've shown you all the illusions regarding mental illness. They're all mentally ill. All of them. Psychopathic. Okay, this is the P.O.C. This is the fake sun that is, this is the entity that is gang stalking in the bathroom. While speaking to what is being annoyed, you're annoyed while you're stalking me, and moreover, you're annoyed by what is flushing of the toilet when you choose to engage in stalking in the bathroom. And that is what is occurring in the bathroom, which is flushing of the toilet. And this is a spirit, I want to be clear. This is an entity that is speaking. So while Carissa is being bullied with evidence, Carissa is an entity, and that's how an entity that is frustrated engages in that. Carissa is engaged in vagina monitoring, so she's gonna stay frustrated. All right, she's a vagina monitor. She might as well go in that bathroom stall. It's the same P.O.C. Understand that. You're dealing with an entity. They're demons. The fake sun that's remaining in Ontario is over all of these demons that are gang stalking. All of them. P.O.C. They're obsessed with what is vagina. They're all sex offenders. This is all engineer light stalking. His shadow's on the floor over here. This is impossible light activity. Pay attention to the light activity. This is the P.O.C. This is the entity that's engaging. The staircase is on this, and after 4 p.m., this staircase is on the floor down there. That shadow's over there. This is the fake sun. And after 5 p.m., my video evidence shows that it's here under these same windows after 5 p.m. That's what's going into the bathroom stalking for Upland Public Library and Upland City Hall. Hostile demons that are annoyed. Oh, you're not annoyed, meaning you're worshiping me. You're hostile because I'm embarrassing you, because I am targeting you with evidence while you were targeting me in effort of a failed sacrifice. And that's a psychopath, by the way. There's a sex offender and a psychopath compared. All right, excuse me, at the same time. The entity is engaging in this in Upland, California. So that's the entity that is gang stalking on the inside and is gang stalking on the outside, just like you see at Stater Brothers. All right, this is P.O.C. It is currently 10:03 a.m. Alyssa, Carissa, Allen, it looks like the entity of all nationalities, and doing so of all ages that are engaging in that pattern of conduct. This is surveillance. You're looking at minor children standing in engineer light. They're engaging in surveillance. Alrighty, that's the P.O.C. All of these employees are going to prison, and they're all hostile because of the level of evidence. The hostility tries to veil itself, but it's not veiled. While you hear illogical speech, while you look at impossible light activity, while they do things like stalk and plane a helicopter and don't say anything, that's the ongoing snippets, the exhibited hostility by a bunch of stalkers who are mad because they're caught, right? And they're going to be caught up with martial law and in mental institutions. That's what's happening. P.O.C. Yeah, no problem. Let me get that for you. Yes. Marty is here. This is an aged female. Carissa. There is in red chucks. This is a male that I have not seen before. And remember, as the entity is documented, these are the type of things that they engage in. Thank you. Oh, you want me to check it first? Yeah. Okay. Let me see, June 14th. No, this one's not charged all the way. Yeah, no. Alyssa, Carissa. These are the employees that I've seen thus far. You have what are a bunch of serial stalkers, meaning those are the ones that are regularly coming in to engage in surveillance in the library. And then you have the entity that's typically just vacillating faces all day long. They just maintain presence coming in and out of the library. And that'll be just coming in, running straight into the bathroom. But it doesn't matter what they do. You can sit around for an hour going into the bathroom, all they're doing is stalking. All day long. And while the entity is keeping a fake sun over me in Ontario, that's also underscored and highlighted and proven to a scientific degree that exceeds beyond a reasonable doubt in order to prosecute a society for criminal activity. And the entity that's in the bathroom sounding absurdly psychotic, talking about flushing the toilet while you're stalking, is the one that is hostile and embarrassing itself. card.
Okay, let me get this one for you then.
Did you already get my card?
Yeah, you're here.
You look like you got a haircut. You look nice, Mr. Allen.
Yeah, I did. Thank you for noticing.
Sorry, I can't help it.
Okay. And
Thank
you
you,
are all
sir.
set, and then
Yeah.
you're all set.
Have a good day.
You too, Miss Becky.
Right. Did you guys start your summer program today or something?
Oh, yeah.
You guys are open before 10 o'clock for
Couple hours.
Oh, because they were opening the doors for people, letting them in. That's why I was like, can I come in before 10?
Oh, that was for the teen volunteers.
Oh, okay. Got it.
We need them set up for coaching.
Oh, okay. I was just being nosy. I was just like, oh, can I go in before 10 o'clock? Alrighty. Have a good day.
All right.
So the entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct. These demons that are in position around me, you'll see the fake sun that is hovering over me in this little cubby area where I'm inside of the library. The fake sun is right over the top, sitting right next to me and sitting in front of me. This is surrounding. It's obsessive stalking. Okay? The entity has showing their butt crack and everything, gang stalking inside of the library. It is currently 10:10 a.m. and I remain in Ontario yesterday. As a matter of evidence, the fake sun is over the Bethel Congregational Church at 536 North Euclid Avenue while I am showing it over me in the city of Upland, where you're understanding and recognizing what is actually psychopathic behavior that seeks to conceal itself, and it's in plain view when you see the threat that is posed when the entity is stalking in this manner, sitting next to you, walking all around you. It's all menacing, stalking, obsessive behavior, and you see it while I show you the evidence of that fake sun. And that's mental illness, that's stalking, that is in plain view now. P.O.C. It's 10:11 a.m. All right, the freaks of nature are inside just stalking with light, so sitting next to you and flashing light. These are demons, and this is their mentally ill shared pattern of conduct. What is going on in the environment is what they do while they're stalking inside of a building, sitting next to someone, remaining silent, engaging what is surveillance, monitoring literally their physical movements, and doing so with whatever method of flashing light, just like you see with the entity doing so with vehicles, while the entity is stalking in planes, while the entity is doing so under a fake sun. The demons are doing so while they are in a building engaging in that same exact behavioral pattern. And these are indeed freaks of nature, even though I find that to be an inadequate title because this is not natural. These are dogs that are dressed up as humans. This is the Nephilim that's engaging in monitoring demons. And that's psychotic. And it's also a means of recovery. The employees are going to prison. So you have a whole bunch of stalkers that come in to, and they obsess over me and they sit around hostile every video that I publish, every podcast, everything that I say in that podcast, every image, everything that I'm exposing while they're all embarrassed and shown to, and they are all demons who are together collectively targeting. So you have a stalker that sits in front of you, a stalker that sits beside you, sitting there flashing light, monitoring, psychotic. Okay, and then you listen to what they say in the bathroom while they are monitoring genitalia. Okay, that is what is in need of straitjackets, and that is literally what's going to happen. But the entity is engaging in that. I'm going to document while you are being a weirdo, while you're being a stalker, while you are exhibiting instability, you are exposing that entire entity to prosecution for it. It's the government that has no business in the first place monitoring you. But I want to document that this is the pattern of conduct. They're doing the same thing when I'm at the entity and when I'm at the Fontana Lewis Library, and you're looking at the entity with impossible light moving all around the desk, swimming all around the desk, while they become increasingly hostile and triggered because of what I'm doing on the internet, which you have no business keeping under surveillance. You wouldn't be triggered if you weren't stalking. You wouldn't be being documented and prosecuted if you weren't stalking. You wouldn't be exposed as mentally ill if you weren't stalking. Okay, you are, and they're caught in a cycle, and that cycle is going to have them ending up in facilities where they belong for everybody's protection, to be honest with you. And the entities engaging in that at the Ontario Ovid Family Community Library, the demons that are in there sparking with light, and then I'm showing you that they're doing so under a fake sun. You're looking at the impossible light that's over everybody's head, and nobody notices that either. It's laughable,
but it's also what is a threat to the public. These are demons that engage in what are large celebrations. They go to concerts, they go to baseball, football games, they go to the Olympics, they go to marathons, all these venues. They go to places like airports, they board planes and public transportation, they're on the roads and the highways, they're in your neighborhood, and they commit massive acts of violence, and they're demons. All right, they are demons, and they are a threat to the public. They're a threat to themselves as well. That's why they sit around stalking somebody. They have nothing else to do. And the demon and then the creature in them just sits that sparking light, just flashing. It's psychotic, absolutely psychotic. All right, and then that person that's being exposed as a demon, they don't even have their own emotions. That demon is what is hostile to me while you're stalking me. Okay, you are indeed stalking me while you're in the library. No, you don't have a right to be at the library. You're not minding your business under the fake sun. They're all delusional. This is an entity that's engaged in that. And so you'll see this freak of nature looking like a she, he, it thing, and sparking with light. And this is, again, it's 10:59 a.m. And Alan and Carissa and all the employees, they're going to prison for facilitation. This is ongoing harassment while they're also maintaining surveillance of genitalia as well. They're a bunch of sex offenders. It's P.O.C.
All right, it's currently 6:54 p.m. and the city of Upland, with knowledge that they are being documented as engaging in what is stalking someone, including maintaining surveillance in the bathroom, with knowledge of the fact that they are documented as demons, engaging in a highly deranged, corrupt and criminal pattern of conduct, with knowledge that it is detailed and published on the internet for the whole world to witness, with knowledge that the feds have an ongoing detailed knowledge, and that is in anticipation of everything that they continuously do while they obsess over me and stalk and monitor me and surveil me. That is the feds that are aware of who they are. All of that, well, they know that it's the entire city. Everywhere that I'm going, that I'm subject to surveillance. But with knowledge, the city of Upland is ceaselessly engaging in that. And at 6:54 p.m., you will see the images uploaded to the Google Drive. Remember, at this time right now, I'm capturing video about the fact that I'm not at Upland, in Upland, at Foothill and Euclid Avenue at 100 East Foothill, where the McDonald's is located, where the entity kept a fake sun over me, and the psychopaths commenced plane activity, where there are no commercial planes. There's not even going to be any commercial plane that sort of traffic in the sky space. The entity is engaging in psychotic behavior as I begin rolling footage. The entity that is monitoring is the entity that's also triggered. So these are demons that are both crazy and they are also obsessively stalking at the same time. License plate 31538 Edward 4. That's a black Silverado truck that's engaged in vagina monitoring under the fake sun that is right now 24 hours ago on video. I started that video not in Upland, at 100 East Foothill like it was 48 hours ago. But I started it in Ontario at the same Ovid Family Community Library where I remained after leaving Bethel Congregational Church at 536 North Euclid Avenue, where yesterday that fake sun is blazing over that venue at around 10:07, 10:08 a.m. And I'm showing you the fake sun over me while Carissa is being targeted with evidence, and the entity is monitoring my vagina inside of the Upland City Hall. The Veterans Monument, which is nowhere near, not even remotely close to the ecological address, the direction I'm facing, the time of day, and the ongoing impossibility that that could be the case, and that Carissa is nothing other than a gang stalker and a vagina monitor who is engaged in what is stalking as a way of making a living in Upland, California, while that fake sun is over me at the Upland Public Library, where it remains right now at 6:54 p.m. upon my exit of that venue. And the entity is maintaining this fake sun in Ontario. And while everybody on Euclid Avenue, everybody on D Street, the license plate that you just heard me recite, the black Silverado, the entity that's engaging what is presence, heavy presence with a whole bunch of kids. You know what those kids are? Those kids are demons, and those kids are criminals. Those kids are engaged in public corruption, and those kids are intentionally made a part of the pattern of conduct. While the demon possessed, the government listens to me speak to the fact, the sickness of the demons that engage in and share in not only sexual activity with minors, criminal activity with minors, and demonic activity with minors. They, as demons who are mentally ill and perverted and in need of what is restraint as a community, i.e. martial law,
include more and more children in their criminal activity. And that is what Upland Public Library engaged in, while the masses filled that library today. And of course, it's under the guise of its summer program. Everybody wants to read now because it's summertime, and so that's why the library is filled to the brim. And that is speaking for psychopathic pacing all day long, while I am surrounded, and the entity is engaging in what is hyper pacing because of what I'm publishing, because of what it is that I already published yesterday, because the entity is sitting up in Upland while I'm in Ontario, naming them, while the entity is stalking in planes at the Ontario Senior Center. These demons are very hostile and they're psychotic. All right. And so remember, this is criminal surveillance. None of this is normal society. So everything that you see, including numerosity, a large amount of people, a growing amount of people, the light activity, which you're not ignorant about, the maintenance of the fake sun, even the brightness of that light, all of it is very sensitive to me. And it is literally about me. And that's not because I am making myself a star of some sort of Broadway show. It's because these demons are literally worshiping me, and they are demons. They're not people. Okay, these are demon-possessed. This is a demon-possessed entity. These are creatures, and they have been exposed. And now that they are exposed, you need to understand that they are showing what is a level of hostility, and that's being analyzed under the law as an unlawful threat, and it's government conduct, state action. All right, that is a Metrolink. That is stalking at 6:59. There's no train that's scheduled right now, and they're doing so under the fake sun at 204 North Euclid Avenue. I'm capturing images of that right now. The people of the state, the employee, license 9 Thomas David Charlie 795, the Black Central. He's going to prison. He's gang stalking with the city of Upland. He's gang stalking with the customers. License 87089 David 2. That is necessarily Union Pacific utilizing Metrolink, and that is amplified train activity, where the train sounds as though it's coming from the side of me, my right side, while that's where the fake sun is, also my right side, which is west of me. The same west location where the fake sun is in the morning when I'm on San Antonio, walking down 8th Street to Euclid Avenue. Those of you who are aware of the fact that Union Pacific is a gang stalker. License 9CBS 722. Union Pacific is a train line that's being federally prosecuted. It's also the government. Okay. License 9XLH 427. Criminal monitoring. License 9TUJ 527. Criminal monitoring. 7-Eleven at 204 North Euclid Avenue. Criminal monitoring. License 87344 Frank 4. Criminal monitoring. And they are gang stalking with Gulf, Gasoline, and 7-Eleven. These are two corporate actors engaging what is presence in the path. Engineer Light covers the 7-Eleven establishment. The people of the state are gang stalking by gas stalls, filling up their gas tanks, which is a RICO case. And they're engaging in terrorism, and they're doing so via the means of interstate commerce. They're on the roads and the highways, and Union Pacific is using the train line for what is of use of the Metrolink train line that has paying patrons that are engaging in what is the use of that same train station just to gang stalk me. And that's proven by what is the fake sun. And the fake sun that's over me at the same 7-Eleven at 7 o'clock in the morning, as I've already documented. This is the employees of 7-Eleven are going to prison. So federal prison. They've also engaged in not only gang stalking, but poisoning. And this is the evidence as to why they're poisoning. And they are going to federal prison. While the employees are gang stalking with Union Pacific, they're going to prison. While the people of the state are gang stalking relevant position to 7-Eleven, they're going to federal prison. While the demons are filling up their gas station, as a means of stalking in the path under all circumstances. There's nothing that you're doing other than gang stalking. And while you make money by gang stalking, it's called a federal RICO. That's racketeering. And they're going to prison. All right, that's the P.O.C. And the entity's doing that with regard to what is a failure and distracting away from. That is literally the case. While I am in Ontario, California at the Ovid Family Community Library at 6:45 p.m. where that fake sun is remaining over me. And then after I capture that video, subsequently, immediately after that, psychopaths, just like those that operate trains who are psychopaths engaging in state surveillance, are engaging in stalking in a plane, which I capture the entity heading to no destination, just soaring, hovering in the sky space over the Ontario Civic Center, where the fake sun is present for over 10 hours at 6:45. I'm capturing that at approximately 6:54 p.m. And I'm walking out of the Upland Public Library. This is the entity that is engaging in that P.O.C. That's the fake sun. That's over the Ovid Family Community Library in Ontario, California at 215 E.C. Street. As I'm capturing that on video the same day yesterday at 8 o'clock in the morning. That is the evidence showing that at the same time at 6:45 p.m., 100 East Foothill Boulevard, which I am not there right now either. And the sun is also, not only is it not at the Ovid Family Community Library right now, at the same time while I'm walking out of the Upland Public Library, it is also not what is north of me over the 100 East Foothill Boulevard intersection, which you also know that because where the fake sun is over me, that's where the entity is stalking in things like planes and in trains. And the entity is engaging in that plane activity where there are no airports and nothing that would ever have any sort of that sort of plane activity, which is psychopathic behavior. And they engaged in more and more of it, like I have shown you, are the ways in which you're analyzing the mental illness of those demons who are stalking. While you look at light activity that moves all across the venues, you're looking at a population of stalkers that fill the freeways, that fill the streets, and you are literally documenting and capturing the mentally ill who are going to be restrained with martial law. They will not be operating any trains. They will not be operating vehicles. They will not be operating planes and helicopters. They will not be operating fire stations and fire trucks. They will not be operating ambulances and police vehicles and maintaining police stations that are engaging in surveillance. That's the entity that's engaged in showing that it is not needed because they're all means of surveillance. They don't even have legitimate emergency services. The people of the state and the state itself utilize it to engage in gang stalking. That's why you have Union Pacific under a fake sun that is aimed on me in Upland, California, using what is the Metrolink train line at 6:59 p.m., where Metrolink is scheduled at 21 minutes and 51 minutes of every hour for paying patrons, where Metrolink is also gang stalking even when it's running on schedule. Union Pacific is engaging what is going out of its way to use the Metrolink train lines to engage in, under all circumstances, the federal offense of what is light activity, relevant positioning, and ongoing audible activity, and it's the criminal facilitation of that by population, which Union Pacific is going to compensate for, and that is a basis to remove that train line altogether because it's a threat to the public. License 8TOE644. That is a Latino male, looks like. Olive skin, dark brown hair, gang stalking in a Ford at I.I.S. The same IHOP where I'm here in the morning, and that fake sun is over me while I'm walking on this same street in the opposite direction. Yeah, that IHOP at A as in Apple in Euclid at 80, I think Euclid Avenue or 80 A Street, 80 A Street. It's at the intersection of A and Euclid, and a history. A healthy history is what I was going to say. A healthy history, a long history of documenting this intersection, Grossman Law Center and IHOP, where the entity is keeping the fake sun from essentially sunrise until sunset. Nonetheless, the entity is engaging in that, and that is no distraction. The fact that Union Pacific is gang stalking where the fake sun is remaining in Ontario, California, and yet I'm capturing a fake sun that's moving at the speed limit that I am moving in Upland, California, at the same Upland Public Library where Carissa is being targeted with evidence, and Carissa is a means to prosecute a whole population who are hostile terrorists, okay, who are stalking me with impossible light, stalking me obsessively, stalking me as I go in and out of bathrooms, and also going into those bathrooms to stalk me, and doing so with an entity that spends millions of dollars in order to do so. All right, that's an entity that's invested in murder, but that's also psychopathic. All right, stalking at Stowell and Euclid, tracking my steps. 2 males, one looks like a rosy cheek little boy, 46700 Kelly 2, P.O.C, in a Dodge Ram truck. Engineer light on the street, fake sun in my face. This is stalking on the roads and the highways, and that's an entity that is as a family of demons, as a society of demons, stalking. Okay, that's the P.O.C, and this is all state action. This is the same cult that are making up the homosexual, HIV-infected cult members that are using planes and helicopters, and they also want to maintain the duplicitous representation of being noble, honorable, courageous men and women in the military. They're cult members. They're demons, and they're stalkers. That's what's stalking me in Upland, California under the fake sun at 6:45 p.m. and also in planes at 6:45 p.m. in Ontario, California, where the two do not occur at the same time as I show you that environment where it's happening. They also are not happening under any circumstances that are anything but dubious because there are no commercial planes coming from any airports in Upland, California, and they're not coming from other cities hovering at the elevation that I'm documenting on video in Upland, California. And you also have the entity that's doing so while they are Doing the same thing in Ontario, California, where over the Ontario Senior Center, the Civic Center, coming from the Ontario International Airport, you have still not conducted a takeoff. So even in Ontario, you're hovering in the city and you're not even also not headed to a destination, because what passengers are getting on planes that are doing backflips and U-turns and flying away from the airport, where you still haven't taken you still have not conducted a takeoff, and then just to go back to the airport, there's no passengers on those planes. And that's the entity that's engaging in what is stalking. This is the entity that's engaging. Those are cult members that are stalking me as a family while they're en route to IHOP, while they're en route to actually wherever it is that is around me, just like they are stalking in a library. They're reading and looking at the book sacks that are around me. And that's what an entity does. You go to pay your water bill while you are tracking my steps and stalking me in order to cross path. And that's what the entity is doing with regard to surveillance as a society. Okay, and that is psychotic. These are demons, and their only objective is stalking, and they have been proven as such. It's all been proven. So the entity that engages in what is stalking, using their children, stalking using their positions, stalking using even fire trucks and police vehicles and planes, they're losing all of it. That's whatever you're using. Oh, you use that to engage in surveillance and terrorism. Okay, well, you clearly do not need that, and you will not be keeping that. You will be disarmed of that. You will be stripped of that. You will be relieved of that. You will be removed from being able to utilize and abuse and exploit that. And that's a matter of what is protecting the public and even these suicidal stalkers themselves who want to harm themselves and other people. That's why they are stalking as a society. You need to understand the demented mindset of people that would engage in this. They are highly, highly demented and very much full of self-loathing. This is why they target people together. They are very much engaged in what is wanting to kill themselves, but they want to kill a whole bunch of other people before they do that. That's what you're dealing with. They don't want to just relieve themselves of their own misery and take themselves out. No, they want to take out other people as they take themselves out. And this is the entity that is engaging in criminal monitoring. They're demons. All right, and that is proven through the evidence of the P.O.C. The fake sun is over me at 6:45 p.m. I'm walking out, and I'm walking out while Elizabeth and Bianca and the employees of the Upper Public Library, in other words, in concert with the demons that are just sitting, stalking inside of the library until the last minute. The last minute. If I were to sit inside of that library after 6 p.m. and the library, after 7 p.m. and the library closes at 7, the entity will maintain what are the people of the state inside of that library. And all of a sudden, it's not a rush to make sure that they close on time because they have to keep me surrounded. So this is why the entity is in no rush to make sure that they keep me surrounded in the library, and the employees are aided in that criminal and psychotic endeavor by the patrons themselves. Because otherwise you'll have the employees that are following me around and they want to look as casual and natural as they can. So you fill a venue up with people that are scattering about, all together engaging in what is a identical code of conduct while they take turns just maintaining presence, pacing all around. And how are you pacing? Making sure people just keep entering, people keep exiting, people keep coming up the stairs, people keep coming down the stairs, people keep walking through, people keep walking in and out of doorways, and they're doing so pursuant to demons who have one shared psychopathic mindset. They're all monitoring spirits. And they do so in the way in which I've shown you. Not only have I shown you, but I describe it. They're doing so while things such as impossible light activity is remaining all around, and they all act oblivious while they are all demons monitoring. You don't have to say a thing in order to monitor. Okay? This is the entity that's engaging in that, and that is psychotic. These are demons that are engaging in what is stalking obsessively before they murder. They commit murder together. They stalk together, they commit murder together, they commit sexual violence together, and they do it with minor children. All right, so it's 7:11 p.m. And that's what you're mindful of as I'm walking out of the Upland Public Library, where there would be no sunlight. On the floor where Bianca is stacking books around the exit door, Bianca's stalking. She's making sure she crosses my path. Crossing path is stalking, and it's also criminal. It's criminal. It's a federal offense. They are levying war as a population that is stalking you in that malicious manner. Stalking in a manner that you are becoming aware of while someone is walking across the street in alignment with your person. As you look across the street, there's somebody on the opposite side of the street and they're walking at the same in step with you. They are in alignment to you. They're walking parallel to you, or they're walking in front of you or behind you on the same side of the street. Walking in front of you, they are also parallel to you in that way, and they are crossing your path. This is what they're doing on the roads and the highways, stalking. This is what they're doing in the sky space over me, perpetually crossing path, and it's psychopathic. They do it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And this is in their minds, which are demented. With their minds are being analyzed and evaluated with regard to what is assessments regarding mental illness and the necessity of involuntary commitments. But they believe themselves to be engaging in what is a ritual that is spiritually potent, that's supposed to disempower the person that they are pacing around, that is being surrounded with this light that's supposed to control them. It literally monitors their device, and you don't have any privacy. You're being stalked by people who are not acknowledging you while they're stalking you. You're being stalked by people that you know as your friends and family. That in and of itself is disturbing and something that causes you to question yourself, especially as your so-called loving friends and family will even engage in, and this is the sign, where they engage in automatically calling you names and triggering you, calling you things like crazy, to even suggest that they would be doing something such as stalking. I can't stalk you. I'm your parent, or I'm your friend. What are you talking about? You're crazy. I'm not stalking you. I know you. What are you talking about? That's the pattern of conduct. That's the government. And that is literally the pattern of conduct. You are absolutely in the shoes of the state. You are nobody's friend. You're a state actor under the fake sun, walking with your buddy that you've known for 32 years, and they're keeping you under surveillance with the state and further into murdering you. And then they are poised to sit in a courtroom and state that you've been suicidal since they met you at 6 years old. And you have never been. That's the state that engages in criminal defamation and is extraordinarily corrupt, desperate, resourceful, and deceitful. All right, and you are absolutely engaging in stalking. This is not traditional stalking, and you are stalking with the U.S. military, with the government, regardless of the relational or familial status, whether you know them personally or not. You are absolutely stalking. The entity is relying on traditional definitions of stalking, traditional understanding of stalking, and they're stalking as an entity. You don't know the government that's keeping you under surveillance. You never committed a crime. You don't know the demons that are lying in a courtroom, that you're not even a part of that proceeding. That is literally illegitimate at the outset. And the gang stalking court only, the corrupt court, is the one that is entertaining the perjurious testimony of those that are conspiring your murder, gang stalking you at the same time. It's only them, okay? This is what an entity is engaging in, and they're doing so while they are sharing in a pattern of conduct, like the vagina monitor you hear in the background, who is stalking under the fake sun and is stalking in the city hall this morning under that fake sun that remains over me at the Upland Public Library. The entity is engaging in what is pulling the type of conduct you'll have is people that you don't even know, like the people that say that are gang stalking me, and they will present themselves as though they are very familiar with you, and they are, because they're gang stalking you, but they are presenting themselves as though they have a relationship with you, as though you've done all manner of things to demonstrate that you are the one with the mental illness of some manner, and that you're the one that is harassing them, targeting them in some way, exhibiting some sort of unstable, abnormal, weird, peculiar behavior, which is joined in. That ongoing narrative is shared by those that know you, shared by your parents who are gang stalking you, shared by your family members, your siblings, your church your church family that you don't even know your family, because your family doesn't go to church, but they're all together. Somehow they met together. They met up at Caro's and they had a meeting about how much they love you and how they're going to go to court and lie on your character. These are the type of things that they come up with. And this is also evidence that you know that surveillance is underway, because all these people have met together when they are in different aspects of your life and you haven't even introduced them to each other. And they don't have, like, if you're an adult. So I am giving my example as an adult. I'm not giving my my family members my phone number of people that go to my church. I'm not giving them here's pastor such and such's phone number in case you can't. I'm a grown person, and nobody in my family goes to church. I'm the only one that attended church, and so that's my church family, and that's distinct from my actual relatives. And those are two different aspects of my life, but you have them joined together, and they did that outside of my knowledge. Okay, Tracy Banks being at my law school graduation and me inviting people from my church family to my law school graduation did not make them tight to the point to where they're calling each other on the phone. That never happened. Tracy Banks did not join Sunrise Church. She did not become a member. She did not start going to church. She was not telling me at any point that she's talking to these people on the phone. She does not want to hear about Jesus. She's not listening to, and they're not real believers either. But none of this is going on until I stop talking to them. And then you come up with the narrative. And now all of a sudden everybody's best friends and knows each other. They knew it's an entity they've been targeting the whole time. So I'm just giving you an example of the way in which that works. It's an illusion regarding strangers. And the entity that is targeting you is maintaining what is that illusion when they're engaged in surveillance. They know what's going on between your legs, let alone who you are, while they are gang stalking you. And that is proven through the environment. You're a lying demon stating that you don't know who I am. The fake sun is blazing over your windshield. In a city that I've never been in, you know exactly who I am. You're stalking. And stalking is also premised upon the environment and the pattern of conduct by the state, who tells on these lying, duplicitous psychopaths while they're in that environment, and the entity is claiming to never have encountered you before and doesn't know what it is that you're using your phone. You have every right to use your phone wherever you want, on the sidewalk, in the public library. You can use your phone wherever you want, just like they do. Just like they do. These are stalkers that are not accustomed to being put in their place. And they feel stupid, and they're triggered because they feel stupid. And they don't have anything to do. They feel disarmed, and so they engage in what is lashing out because of that reality. That's what I've been encountering. A whole bunch of losers. You're mad because you lost. And guess what? When I step outside and I get that helicopter activity, guess what that proves? Outside of the evidence that I just got of everybody in this building stalking me. It's ongoing confirmation about the truth that I already stated, which is why you were triggered in the first place, having nothing on the surface, because that's all we're looking at. If you're not gang stalking me and everybody's a stranger here, and you're it's being made up and it's only within the imagination, but as soon as I walk outside and everybody's acting like nothing is happening, that helicopter is confirming that those are a bunch of psychopaths. Okay? Psychopaths who are speaking to you in the bathroom when you haven't even seen my face. So why do you know who I am? And you're so unintelligent that you admit that. You admit that you know exactly who. That's why I record them. They're idiots. They are idiots, and that's not an individual. That's an entity. Do not be deceived because one dresses up in the costume of an attorney and went to a law school and passed a bar in some state, and the other one is sleeping outside, carrying 14 plastic bags everywhere, and is maintaining prolonged periods of time in bathroom stalls and engaging in what is making a series of unintelligent admissions while she's being prosecuted and is speaking for a group of people at a time. They are equally mentally ill and intellectually deficient. They're not different. It's an entity. They're all under the fake sun. They're all stalking with the U.S. military that's stalking me in planes and helicopters. They are all remaining in that environment where that ongoing behavioral pattern is underway. They are not different and distinct. They're maintaining an illusion regarding what is privacy and also what is the freedom of speech rights. This is an entity that doesn't have that. Freedom of speech are for the private citizen. Individual rights. This is an entity. There's no such thing as entity rights. That's what they're engaging in. There's no such thing. And there is no such thing as entity rights to engage in criminal monitoring. And the entity is also hostile because the target individual is smarter than all of them put together. That's why. That's what's wrong with them. But that's what is in the bathroom this morning, what you hear in the podcast, making admissions about, you know who I am. I walked into the bathroom stall, did not speak to anybody in that bathroom. And I don't frequent the City Hall bathroom. And I'm up in California, okay? So I go into the City Hall bathroom, and this is somebody that's closed inside of the stall, and there's no, I don't see anybody, and I would have documented, I saw the demon sneaking through, trying to look through the crack of the door or close the door, nothing. She's in the stall, did not see me. I did not say a word. I walk into the bathroom stall and close the door in use of the bathroom, and she's speaking to me, and she even admitted, I know who you are. And she's very perturbed that I'm in the bathroom, using the bathroom, where she went into the bathroom under the fake sun, like she is always doing, as an entity that maintains surveillance. You have those that are not above Those are, the rest of them are ones, none of them are. They're all low-class vagina monitoring psychopaths. They're losers, they're desperate, and they are engaging in stalking in the most psychotic and embarrassing manners that they don't want you to know about. You have white people that are stalking me, a black woman, and they don't want you to know about that. You have teenagers that are sitting around obsessing over me, obsessing over my vagina, and they don't want you to know about that. There is a sense of superiority that they are gleaning with regard to maintaining an illusion, and that superiority is only in their mind. If there is any superiority, it's me, the one that they are all stalking together, but they're maintaining illusions. So they don't want you to know that their husbands and their boyfriends are obsessing over me and stalking me. They don't want you to know that. Okay, while they're speaking foreign languages, and they're speaking as though, oh, no speak English, but those demons are monitoring. They know exactly what I'm saying. They know what I'm doing on my device, and they're engaging in the exact same seamless pattern of conduct. It does not change because they're Asian. It doesn't change because they're Haitian. It doesn't change because they're Nigerian. It doesn't change because they're Mexican or Salvadorian, all right, or Nicaraguan. It doesn't change because they are Chinese. It doesn't change because they're Taiwanese or Korean. It's the exact same P.O.C. They know exactly whether they speak English or not, whether they speak to you or not, and they don't want you to know that. They are demons. I already told you, and I've already shown you, demon-possessed people, that is a spirit. Demons, Satan does not have a race. He is not a race. He is not a black carnal person or a white carnal person. He is not a male or a female. These are demons, they're spirits, and they are possessing a population who are of all colors of the rainbow and of all ages. And with that ongoing reality, they are maintaining illusions before you. And you have married couples who are stalking me together, who are engaging what is focusing on me while they have sex with each other, while they go break apart in their fake marriage and go have sex with people of the same gender with regard to their cult membership, while they are focusing on me while they engage in that. This is the reality of this satanic cult. And then they are about their whole day as an entity stalking me obsessively. They don't want you to know that. Okay, while they are simultaneously maintaining that illusion, they engage in trying to insult the one that they are obsessing over, trying to insult me. And I'm outside, because I want to look at your fat face. I want to see your cellulite. I want to be in the presence of somebody that clearly has not worn deodorant in the last 15 years. Or I want to see that, your bald spot, the hot dogs on the back of your neck, the cheddar cheese on your teeth. I want to see that. I want to see you be a pathetic charlatan, a fake with regard to the way in which you must be taking a hammer to the mirror as a middle-aged white woman that can't stand her image, and you're stalking me because you want to be me. You wish you could be me, and you think that to be me would be the ultimate, but those are the type of things that they keep to themselves. That's why they're stalking me. This is the reality of how pathetic they are, and they are an entity. You have males that wish that they could be me, a woman. You have them in regret because they bend over and give up their manhood to other cult members in hopes that they can be someone like me. And it's never going to happen. And stalking me isn't going to get them there either. And they're learning all of this the hard way. When they engage in their witchcraft against somebody that is literally impervious to it, and it is proving the reality of Christ. And it's like, now the joke is on you because you're a whole demon-possessed person, and what have you been doing your whole life? And you've also sacrificed a lot of other people, and you found out you're not magical. You were taking out demons, people like you who are subject to that. You are the one that is vulnerable to the wiles of the devil, not a child of God. But this is the entity, all those illusions are what they rely on. And that's the reality. When the truth is that they bring their whole family just to be in my presence, to stalk me. It's a spiritual thing while you're stalking someone, in case you did not know that. It's an obsessive demonic spirit. And also while they are maliciously doing so, that spirit of malice, that's spiritually significant as well. While they are doing so as a whole government system, this is letting you in on what they already know while they practice witchcraft. And witchcraft is nothing other than a lower satanic imitation regarding the power of God. It is lower than the power of God. It cannot contend with the power of God. That's why Christ already defeated it and death and the devil on the cross. Witchcraft is beneath the power of the Holy Spirit. It is not equally powerful. It is not contending with the Lord God Almighty. It isn't. And there's no amount of demons that are engaging in any amount of rituals and voodoo and black magic that can contend with the power of God. And that's true. So magic, understand that Satan, who is not the equal opposite of God, who does not have the power of God, that's why he's monitoring
Monitoring is about sending out and having as many watchers, as many stalkers, as many spies in order to get information that you don't have access to because you are not all-knowing. You are not omnipotent. You're not omniscient. You're not everywhere, all the time, at all places, and amongst all people, knowing all things, like the Creator, the Lord God himself. Like Christ Jesus. He's not that. Satan is not that. He is a created being. First of all, he is not the equal opposite of God. Number two, he is not all-knowing. This is why he has monitoring spirits, workers, minions. Okay? Not only that, he is engaging in what is also lower than the power of God, which is witchcraft, magic. It's evil, it's real, but it is not equal with regard to the power. In other words, walking in the power of God is always triumphant over, victorious over, and that is in Christ Jesus, who already defeated on the cross, defeated Satan, all of his demons, and all of the wiles of the devil. It's not. License plate 9P-TP-745, another lesbian. License 8CLL-289, lesbians. They want to touch me while they're stalking on the 10 freeway. That's the prosecution of the state of California. All right, this is P.O.C. under the fake sun at 7:27 p.m. where the entity is stalking in Upland, California with commercial planes. Well, I'm still in Upland, and yesterday I remained in Ontario, which is the prosecution also of the state of California. All right, these are demons who have already admitted to inferiority by virtue of gang stalking. They have already engaged in admitting to inferiority and defeat by virtue of gang stalking. Christ Jesus doesn't have to gang stalk anybody. And also, moreover, he doesn't force anybody to do anything. He made a sacrifice. He sent his son. And if you don't want to accept that sacrifice, well, that's your choice as well. But he doesn't force anything on those that do not want to partake in what is the blessing it is, the benefit it is, the protection it is, the power it is to be called a child of God, to be adopted into his family. Okay? But there are those that belong to him, that are part of what are the lineage, royal lineage, in which case you don't have a choice regarding being a child of God and learning about your status and walking in obedience to that and conforming to that. And there's no demon, there's no curse, there's no gang stalking system that's going to change that. And this is what these demons are learning in a very hard, brutal manner. While they are stalking in things like ambulances, they have made a mockery of the system that they will not have anymore. They won't have access to any emergency vehicles. They're not sounding any sirens and going to anybody's house. Everybody's going to be on lockdown. Everybody. The entities engaged in that conduct, and they're doing so while they have demonstrated the ongoing highly deranged abuse of resources and money regarding what could be used to have actually what will be a balanced society. But because Satan is engaged in this ongoing surveillance system, this is necessarily maintaining what is a fragmented society where you have those that are literally picked to be at the bottom. And at the bottom, I mean economically, making sure you maintain no power, you cannot acquire status. And that is even when you do the right thing and, you know, the quote unquote American dream, you do the work, you are entitled to whatever it is that you want. That's the American dream if you work for it, right? As someone that is aware of that and fully capable, and I've already done that. I've already accomplished my life's goal. I went to college, I went to law school, I took the bar, I accomplished one of my life's goals, which was to become a licensed attorney. And upon doing what that checklist, check, done, and the entity is gang stalking me and decided to not permit. This is the entity that is picking and choosing as though they are God, and they are not, and they're learning that in a very hard way. The entity is engaging in what is, no matter how much of an achiever you are, this is an entity that will engage in what is still that same sort of blockage regarding your path to success, while they are outwardly promoting the so-called American dream. That American dream only applies to those that are of Satan's kingdom, okay, where they are picking and choosing those that they want to yield and have influence over the masses. That's why you have demons that are celebrities. That's why you have demons that are in office. That's why you have demons that are seemingly successful, but you don't know that they are homosexuals that are giving up their manhood to other males in order to be a part of cults where they're engaging in psychotic behavior, and they have to pledge allegiance to these types of things that are shameful, these types of things that are mentally deranged. They're embarrassing to admit that they're a part of, but they do so in order to conform because anything else is a threat to this population of demons. And this is not me just spouting out my opinion. That's the system that's gang stalking me. I don't conform to any of this. And I did not conform even while I was ignorant to the fact that I was being targeted. I did what I was led to do, and that was to go to college and go to law school, get my law degree and practice law as an attorney, and taking it step by step with regard to what the Lord was going to call me to do. I'm just being obedient. And what I found myself was, it was literally like a brick wall regarding a system that was determined to stop me from progressing any farther. Meaning the people of the state were harassing me as I would go for job interviews. It's the same entity. The city of Los Angeles, the city of Rancho Cucamonga, the people of the state of California engaging in what is unlawful behavior, including harassing me as I would arrive to interviews fully qualified, overqualified, and also fully capable of learning, and as this public investigation demonstrates. But this is not me. I don't have to prove anything. I'm prosecuting. Only thing I have to prove is that the government is stalking me, and check, I already did that. All right, but it is relevant to show that I am more than capable regarding every job that I've ever applied for, overqualified for it. While I did go to the extent to satisfy educational prerequisites in order to be at that certain level and practice law. But the entity is engaging in what is blockage. And this is the entity that was gang stalking while they were denying me employment and harassing me. And then in order to do so, whatever employment that I did acquire, they only hired me in order to abuse me, harass me, target me, and sexually violate. Remember, I'm a practicing attorney, so the vagina monitoring is underway while I am a dignified, classy, professional woman at a law firm, and a whole bunch of sex offenders are keeping my vagina under surveillance while I'm using the bathroom in the law office, while I'm using the restroom in the court, while the judges are there. These are all demons. They're all demons. This pattern of conduct does not change while I am practicing law. I am giving you the template. The U.S. military, guess what they're doing? They're gang stalking while I'm working as an attorney, and it's underway in the courthouse. While they're sitting in the gallery, while I'm in a court hearing with my so-called client, and that which is supposed to be a matter of privacy, attorney-client privilege, it's all a joke while the military is stalking in planes and helicopters, doing so while I'm under surveillance while practicing law in California. The same exact thing that you see them doing, this is what they're doing while I'm practicing law, while I'm working for the law offices of Michael Bialis, while I'm working for Mandarich Law Group in Chatsworth, California. The entity's engaging in this very, very same pattern of crime while I'm working for Mobility in Costa Mesa, California, and Orange County. All right, that's using what is property management skills and my legal skill set, but not practicing law. And the entity was engaging in the P.O.C. in Orange County. The entity's engaging in this stalking on the roads and the highways while I'm driving into Los Angeles County, while I'm taking the Metrolink into Los Angeles County, while I'm driving to work. They are gang stalking me on the roads and the highways. While these same law enforcement agencies that I'm documenting were gang stalking me unbeknownst to me in the workforce, while I am seeking to benefit from the education, the extensive education that I financed on my own. None of these demons that I'm related to have any credit. Like I said, Tracy could not finance a box of Twinkies. She's a thief and a fraud. All right, she's a Jezebel. So this is how she goes about taking care of herself. And she is someone that lies about who I am, and literally how she acquired anything that she has. It was from stealing from me the entire time. And it's the same with all of these demons. It's the same with all of these demons. Half of them that are living in houses in Ontario and Upland, California, do so and have been able to do so through this criminal system where demons are kept afloat, and those such as like myself that are honestly acquiring whatever it is that they seek to get on their own, outside of being a cult member, outside of serving Satan, outside of compromising your own morals, stuff that you're not going to engage in. That's the one that is being targeted. So this is what the entity was doing so targeting me while I'm at Cal State San Bernardino, targeting me while I'm at San Bernardino Valley College, targeting me while the entirety of my higher education, targeting in ways in which that are a violation of, you're talking about every area of law that the entity is in violation of, while the entity is showing you how they're gang stalking. That's going back in history with regard to the U.S. the U.S. government that's violating all manner of the laws of the state and federal laws, while I've been subject to this for well, not only my whole life, but I'm just speaking to my career and the entity. While I'm outside and you call yourself critiquing me while you're stalking, the fact that you're even being documented is because you're a stalker, and you are engaging in what is speaking in a manner that's supposed to be insulting, and you worship my vagina. While you have sex with your gay lover, and you have sex with your so-called girlfriend that you don't even really like, because you're demons and you want to look like a certain way, so it's not giving away that you're all the Nephilim, and you sit around obsessing over my vagina while you have sex with whoever it is that you lay with, and then you get up and come stalk me the next day at the library. That's what's trying to insult me. You cannot insult me. You're stalking. If you weren't stalking, then speak. In which case, you wouldn't even be speaking because you wouldn't be in my presence. This is an entity that's Satan. Satan is entirely delusional. It is the spirit of mental illness, worshiping every aspect of my life as I've gone about doing what the Lord God has called me to do, and I don't compromise any aspect of my life in order to do so. Whereas these demons engage in all manner of whatever it is that they are told to do, whatever demons summon them to do. All right, and that is all manner of what is embarrassing and humiliating and demoralizing things that are unfit for them to engage in as U.S. Marine, U.S. Airport. They're a bunch of stalkers. They're criminals. They're drug addicts. All right, they are homosexuals that don't want that to be out in the open while they are presenting themselves as another way. They're a bunch of hypocrites and charlatans. They're not courageous men and women. They're not even men and women. They're demons. They're creatures. They're dogs that are looking and trying to disguise themselves as humans while they are amongst us, monitoring us. And they're exceedingly envious because of the position that you have in Christ. That's the reality. That's the reality, and I'm not apologetic about some demon that's mad because I am who I am, and also that I'm not sorry that I am who I am. How psychotic is that? You literally are sitting up envious of me. Why would I be upset that I'm me? I praise God that I'm me. But this is pathetic, though. This is what they're doing. You're talking about obsessively stalking, so the fact that you're obsessing over me, the fact that all the demons are fans of mine, the fact that they are so obsessed, they show you all over my social media, all over the internet. They are speaking to the fact that they are fans of Erica, obsessed with me, while they are engaged in criminal activity for which they're going to prison for. This is no ordinary stalker. They're going down in history for things that have never been proven before, only speculated about, and people too fearful to speak on it. Nobody speaks on it. No one would ever speak on it. And the P.O.C. did well beyond that. I'll break it down and provide you a study about what they're doing. And they are demons. They are a lower race. They're creatures. All they do is make sure that everything, all the ground space everywhere is covered. That's all they're doing. They're a bunch of demons. That's it. And the unfortunate part of that is because when they are not profitable anymore, unuseful, you have a large amount of people, demon-possessed people, who have no purpose. And that speaks for a large amount of loss of life. And that's just the reality. But anyway, this is an entity that's engaging in that, and they are procreating, bringing forth more demons, and this is speaking to generational curses. So they are bringing forth those that are cursed. They're bringing forth those that are engaging in the same conduct, and it's the same pointlessness. And they are doing so literally because they are obsessed with the fantasy of having the ability to steal from a child of God. Steal what is, and in order to steal, meaning getting rid of the curse that is on them, the curse that is on their bloodline, the curse that is on their life, and it's impossible to happen. They don't understand, and that's because they are actually ignorant, and that's unfortunate, because you have people that are losing their lives, losing everything behind pure ignorance, because you just didn't know better, and you're the one that's supposed to be some witch. So you're supposed to be some skilled practitioner. I don't practice witchcraft, but I know the truth of the Word of God, and I could have told you that. It's impossible because of what Christ already did on the cross. And that's also speaking to the fact Christ is real. He is God. That's why you lost, by the way. That's why you continuously will lose. That's why that sacrifice that you thought was me is actually you, because Christ is God. And that sacrifice is complete. It's already done, and I am sealed. And that's trouble for you and yours and everything connected to you, including while you are witnessing them engage and prove the ongoing progressive mental deterioration of those that would like to be in a court and be taken seriously before a military tribunal. And you will have that tribunal treat them as the animals that they are, already aware of how guilty they are and everything, the details pertaining to the things that they've done, while I humiliate and underscore and detail it on social media, and they are paying attention. They're listening because they know who's lying, and it's not me. They're going to be treated like the animals that they're showing themselves to be. I cannot make them do the backflips and stalking. Everybody, let me be clear. Everyone knows it's very clear about what is happening. And it's so clear they're doing it in front of you. You're talking about suicidal, meaning they don't even want to live to be in that court hearing in that tribunal. They don't want to live to see that day. That's the reality of what is stalking me. That's how severe it is. But you are dealing with instability, which is of a spirit. And when Satan, that is not a spirit that possesses people, that these are not sane people, so they don't operate in a healthy way. If there was something that did cause me to be fearful, something that I did not want to experience, I would immediately stop whatever it is that I was engaging in that was bringing on those results or those circumstances that I find undesirable. That is not what demons who are mentally ill do, because they are possessed with what is a delusional and psychopathic spirit. And you're talking about how does that operate in the physical? You're talking about a toxic environment when you are dead wrong and you don't even know the law because you're not engaged in law enforcement. You've been engaged in stalking and intimidation tactics, and it works against demons that are under that same spirit. When you're engaged in that sort of toxicity, that toxicity is relevant to demons. And so you have, when everybody is dead wrong, they just go forward with that which is wrong because they have, you're talking about a spirit of pride. So because admitting that you're wrong is out of the question. And so this is how you're getting to what is under the law. This is how you're getting to what is, as a matter of policy, what are violating the rights of other people. And these are demons who are in these positions that they're unfit to be in. And this is why they don't even know the law. They're not engaged in law enforcement in the first place. All right, and you're talking about a spirit of pride? Oh, man. When I tell them, first of all, you're wrong in the first place, that's not what that is, and that's not how that's applied, and that's not even the purpose of that. And how about this? Can you spell that, which that you are referring to? And they cannot, and they are also insulted and embarrassed because of that reality, but it is absolutely a reasonable question of mine, because I am being gang stalked by idiots who engage in and submit to gay sex, and in order to get the positions that they're in. And all they're doing is stalking. They're professional stalkers. And I'm showing you how they're incompetent professional stalkers. They're even overpaid to do that. I have shown you everything that they're doing. This is how they're stalking, and this is what they do. And this is why they're doing this at this moment because of this and what I said this. And pay attention to that, because this is what they're going to do after they do that. And they do that over and over and over again, which is how you know that it's a pattern of conduct. And when you're listening to them lying through their face, even getting violent with their speech, look up at the fake sun over their head. You're looking at a psychopath that's mentally ill and who is triggered because they're embarrassed by the fact that they are an elderly white woman with 3 chins, and she's embarrassed because she's stalking a younger black woman who knows it and is documenting and prosecuting her for it. All right, this is the entity with all those sorts of issues. All right, I'm about to prosecute these demons at what is Rosewood Court and Euclid Avenue, P.O.C. P.O.C. license 9PLK 552, driving off after sitting on the street where you see Amazon. This is surveillance with the rest of them. That demon was engaging in psychotic behavior, stalking, ominous stalking, sitting in the middle of the street. Amazon is engaging in what is light activity. They're stalking with the Ontario Police Department, who's crossing path. And this is the entity, CRE8320. That's a Washington plate. This is surveillance as well. This is the entity that's engaging in that while the neighborhood is stalking, and they're all engaging in that. Amazon Prime is being federally prosecuted as a corporate actor, 6TBE203. And this is the entity that is stalking. You already know that. There's no sun that's going to be at the Ontario Ovid Family Community Library, where they're also surrounding with light activity, and you see this engineer's property. This is not sunlight, it's engineer light, but it will show you where is the fake sun, where Amazon Prime is engaging in stalking with the people of the state. This is the entity is keeping the fake sun at the Ovid Family Community Library yesterday. And I'm walking out today, and the entity kept the fake sun, which I captured images of. And this is where Amazon Prime is engaging in facilitation. And this is the entity that's engaging in. So they're lining the street while the entity is stalking me, repeatedly flying over the street by planes,
doing so while I'm walking into Ontario from Upland, and these are the people of the state that are doing so. This is the city that's going to be federally prosecuted. And Amazon Prime is not only criminal with regard to surveillance, this is meant and demonic conduct, and these are companies that will be shut down based on what is a threat to American society while mentally ill practices are underway, while they seek to engage in what is a corrupt business, such as criminal monitoring, which is what Amazon Prime is doing under a fake sun amongst engineer light, and they are doing so as hostile psychopaths who are utilizing the business itself as the means of criminal pattern of conduct. This is the P.O.C. This is exactly what they're doing on video this morning while the entity is stalking by planes, and that demon is in the middle of the street with the hazard lights on under that fake sun. It's not a coincidence that at the end of the day, the fake sun is still in alignment to me, and you're looking at what is a business, a corporate entity that's engaged in that, and Amazon Prime has been targeting that is conspiring by murder for years, and they're going to compensate, and the entity is going to federal prison. For the ways in which I've documented them also gang stalking me with the military and planes and helicopters. This is P.O.C. It is currently 7:47 p.m. She is stalking me with Amazon, and that's why I'm going to prosecute Amazon as well. 16BE 203, and this is license 79672 Henry 3. Making a delivery under the fake sun is the pattern of conduct. Amazon Prime is a threat to American society, and they're engaged in surveillance outside of the U.S. as well. They're engaged in treason, and this is a demon that's operating a commercial vehicle. This is P.O.C. And it's massive facilitation. That's also the means whereby I'm going to prosecute while they're in the neighborhood engaging in criminal activity together. Now, you're looking at, this is the corporate means of the criminal pattern of conduct to further into murder. They do the same thing when they are summoning the police and the ambulances and the fire trucks. It's the light activity and the sirens in that specific environment. And this is the same neighborhood where the fake sun is over me in the morning. Amazon Prime is heavily documented engaging in what is targeting. And this is the P.O.C. This is the means whereby the entities shall be committed. It's not going to be different because they're in uniforms, and they will be subject to prison and prosecution. P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, 7:47 p.m. while the fake sun's over me coming from Upland. And this is juxtaposed with not only remaining in Upland over me, but also while I'm remaining in Ontario, and it's at the Ovid Family Community Library. And then you look at a demon that's hiding behind a uniform and a package that's gang stalking. Okay, this is the entity that's engaged in that, and Amazon Prime has been doing this with multiple counties over the years: Los Angeles County, Orange County, the entity that's doing so on the roads and the highways, and also stalking me in their commercial planes. And they're demons that are engaged in that, and the U.S. military is targeting with this corporate actor, and is doing so right now as well. Alrighty, this is light activity. It's a federal offense, and the entity is gang stalking. And this, again, people of the state that are engaged in the pattern of conduct, they're going to be subject to martial law. Studying the device, always doing the exact same thing, psychotic. All right, that's the entity that is stalking into the fake sun. This is P.O.C. All righty, this is the entity that is engaging in the pattern of conduct with regard to what is the necessity of martial law, and that's exactly what's going to happen in California. That's exactly what's happening. All right, this is a city full of demons, which is speaking to the state full of demons. And the entities engaging in this environment, they do not have any legitimate emergencies. Sirens and lights on emergency vehicles are means of light activity and stalking and monitoring, just like Amazon Prime is, and doing so. Delaying you that has engineer light all over it. This is the entity that is gang stalking, all right, on the roads. And the Amazon Prime, you're talking about losing the privilege to drive, losing the ability to be in the planes while they're engaging in the means of interstate commerce and further into murdering an American citizen, not a legitimate operation of a business. All right, and they're maliciously doing so. So all I did was turn on my camera and start dissecting this crime scene, and then everybody starts moving all around. License 79672 Henry 3. Amazon Prime is being federally prosecuted. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, license plate, again, 79672 Henry 3 is engaging in the pattern of conduct with the U.S. military that is stalking by planes and helicopters, as I've already documented plenty of times over a prolonged period, especially as I am traveling to and from Upland. And the entity is doing so in that video I captured the fake sun, where an entity is engaging when it's analogous to looking to the left and the right like nothing is happening. This is what Amazon Prime is doing while they're holding a package and engaging what is criminal presence, light activity, mentally ill behavior, the stalking with a method of peculiarized light under a fake sun that is, as I documented the fake sun this morning, 12 hours later, it is still over me, okay? Where the entity is stalking me at 5:30 in the morning, that's the U.S. military that does not take any break or nap, and they're doing so with Amazon Prime that is stalking me as a business, the corporate entity that's engaging in the pattern of conduct, and they're doing so in furtherance of murder. Amazon Prime is actually engaged in what is criminal activity with the government system that's maintaining surveillance, and they're doing so intentionally, knowingly, ceaselessly,
and maliciously, okay? That's the whole purpose of maintaining criminal surveillance through a business, okay? And Bezos is not ignorant of that, all right? That's the pattern of conduct where you have a pattern of conduct that's documented by companies like this, where you have McDonald's and Amazon Prime and KFC and Jack in the Box and Omnitrans and all these corporate actors that are engaged in a pattern of conduct, and your company and the company owner does not know about that. That's the entity that is gang stalking as a system, and they are absolutely aware of it, and they are engaging in that, and that knowledge is proven through that ongoing existing pattern of conduct, which is also supernatural, and that's where you're getting the ongoing admission. It is an implied admission with regard to knowledge. Literally, the evidence of a pattern of conduct is speaking to people that are not ignorant that they are acting and behaving in the same manner in that specific environment, and doing so while they are also being documented, which is speaking to what is a threat to those across the globe. Okay, and this is public corruption while Amazon Prime is targeting me in the neighborhood in the city of Ontario. Alrighty, this is P.O.C. This is an entity that's doing so with those over and under the age of majority. And this is speaking to what are demons that make up corporate actors such as Amazon at every level, including the owner. They are demons engaging in that conduct, and they're engaging in that conduct with regard to the ways in which the government can maintain ongoing criminal surveillance without admitting that it is indeed the government itself. But that ongoing illusion of privacy, the illusion of separation from the government is no longer in operation. Okay, and it's also an illusion that they're saying and that they're doing anything other than gang stalking. I have Amazon Prime gang stalking me for years, including molesting me with impossible light, and that's going to be quite a lawsuit. All right, an epic one. It is currently 7:52 p.m. and that's the entity that's gang stalking and the ongoing course of conduct. These are demons that are listening to everything that I'm describing, and they become increasingly triggered while they literally listen to me speak. All right, so you have the entity that's just getting in alignment, stalking by planes. The more that I speak, these are losers. These are suicidal losers. Even as company owners and shareholders and on boards and maintaining positions of authority, they're losers. You need to understand that. So being a winner and being a loser is actually not about how much you have, because they've sacrificed their they've sacrificed their manhood, they've sacrificed their dignity, they've sacrificed all manner of what is the ability to maintain any sort of sense of integrity. They've sacrificed what is their own family as well. They've sacrificed their sanity, and they've also sacrificed the ability to hold on to anything that they have temporarily acquired through some gay sex ritual, through giving allegiance to Satan, through killing someone, sacrificing people. This is what they do. And this is an entity that's engaging in that, and they do so with regard to seeking to acquire physical things, these physical things that are not making them happy. And that's why you have multi-million-dollar company owners who are targeting me. Okay, so they do all that to acquire these physical things, and they are equally miserable. And you are not a winner because you sacrifice people. Let's not just focus on the fact that you have money and things. Let's talk about what you do to get that money and those things. And let's talk about how miserable you are, and why you're still monitoring my vagina and obsessing over me, and why your wife doesn't like you, and why your kids hate you, and why you're scared to sleep at night because you don't know if they're actually going to take you out, because they're all demons as well. And that's the reality regarding the misery of those who are demons. That's why they're stalking someone like me. This is all to say that you should not be seduced by the lies that are out here. The system of gang stalking is letting you know that the entity is maintaining illusion before you. They don't even like themselves. You don't even have any business. You're on the job, ostensibly. That could very well be a homosexual at the Marine Corps just putting on an Amazon vest. But nonetheless, you have a job. You should be collecting a paycheck. You don't even actually have that as your focal point. You're leaving your home talking about you're going to work. You're actually, your point is to stalk somebody. Do you understand how pathetic that is? And they know that. They, being the demons themselves, they know that. They don't have a purpose. And their demon-possessed kids don't have a purpose. And they would like to maintain the illusion, oh yeah, right, you're not that important, and they're all lying. Because these are spiritual realities, and they don't want to talk about the spiritual realm. This is why they also like to downplay who Christ is. But at the same time, I'm minding my business and worshiping the Lord Why are you even concerned about me? And you are, because you can't deny that no more. And anybody that's you're not even listening to that. That's just a straight up demon. They don't have the luxury and the convenience of acting like it's not happening anymore. So it's absolutely happening, and it's been happening, and you were lying even about that. So what is that actually about? Because this is the reality. They are absolutely miserable, and they engage in all manner of things to acquire what is stuff that they are not even in any position to have. If you dissect them, they're idiots. They're all under a fake sun. And everybody feels stupid because I exposed that about them. And they feel stupid while they're supposedly in these positions of power and authority, and you can't even come up with the tactical means of targeting somebody as a whole military branch. That's what you have. And everybody in the world also knows how you are gang stalking and you're psychopaths, acting like you're under the sun, acting like you're a star in the sky space. Who comes up with stuff like that? Other than dogs, okay? People that with psychotic mindsets. I mean, serious, hardcore stalkers. Who comes up with that? It's taking the, putting the face paint on, the camouflage uniform. It's taking it to a whole other level. Now you're trying to act like you're the environment itself. Because that's what they're doing. If the military is stalking in the sky space, and it's not the star. That's not a star in the sky. That's a demon in an aircraft stalking me. And they have a whole legion of them, like obsessing over one person. That's, I want to be clear, the U.S. government's budget on stalking me. So what is the big deal? What, if it's not about that, oh, it's not that serious? But they have all of their demonic children engaged in it. Because this is a cursed people, a cursed generation, hellbound. And that is even proven through the way in which they're obsessively engaging. There is no path to success whatsoever. In fact, now they provided what is a means for me to speak to the cows come home about how pathetic it is, and anybody that is associated and affiliated with the kingdom of darkness. If you ever thought that it was cool to be demonic, if you thought that going with Team Satan was the only option because those are the true gangsters and those are the ones that are going to force you to, they cannot force anything. They can't do anything. I've shown how incompetent they are. I've shown how first of all, deranged they are. I've shown how they are literally relying on and hoping that you're scared of them. They're always hoping that you don't know what they're up to. They're relying on you to feel like they're scary to you because that's what they're feeding off of. These are demons that just hope that you don't know the truth. They just hope that you don't know what's going on. They just hope that you're scared enough when they put some stuff together and think that it's hopefully that's scary enough. That's the type of hot air that you're dealing with. It's pathetic. I'm piercing straight through all of that. Because while they're playing around and they're engaging in that which is already a lost endeavor, so now we've got the military tribunal has years of evidence of what is just ongoing, obsessive, psychotic, and this is after the fact. So not only did you try and engage in what is seeking to murder an American citizen that you have taken an oath to protect, not only did you do that, you did it for money, you enabled a population to share in it, you even tried to profit off of that while you disseminated footage of it on the internet, and then you engaged in what is ongoing, that ongoing course of conduct after you've been delusional about the fact that it was not going to be successful. So you just kept on doing more of the same until you were called into my courtroom. Until the hour that you were called in this court. That's literally what you did. And this is an entity that's engaging in that because it's already over. It's been over, and it's been over for years. It's been over for years. They're going to prison and they are not getting out of prison. That's what's happening. They're getting committed into an institution, and that's where they're going to expire. They're going to continuously disintegrate with regard to their brain that is rotting, including while they're obsessively stalking me, the focal point, and they don't even know why they're so focused on me. And what are you getting out of it other than being published in another video? And you know what I'm getting out of it? This is an unprecedented, never before contemplated basis of recovery for damages. Meaning I'm going to own these companies. I'm going to literally own them. And I intend to make sure that the world knows that they're terrorists. Don't pay to board these airline companies. They want to kill you. They're demons. They're suicidal. They're corrupt. They're terrorists.
Make sure you know every gang stalking airline company name. It's all of them. Make sure you associate every business. And when you are aware of what's going on as I am exposing it, this is an entity that is inevitably speaking to the demise of these companies, because everyone's going to know what they're doing in their state and in their country. And they're not going to want to have anything to do with them either. This is an entity that's only been engaging in what is profiting from your ignorance and from your silence and from your being intimidated in one way or another. They can't even add up what is 2 + 5 in the dark without any help. Okay? They need a sex ritual to figure out what they're going to do tomorrow. All right? This is an entity that's burning between their legs while you're steady crawling in a helicopter still chasing me around the city. And I'm laughing at you on top of that. You're supposed to be the scary one. I'm laughing at you. You know why? Because you're going to prison. Not only are you going to prison, your mother and your kids and whoever is connected to you are going to be broke poor when I'm done with you. That's why I'm laughing, because I already won. That's how dizzy they are. That's how silly they are. That's how pointless this is. But it's for your benefit, because the Lord God wants his name to be magnified in this. It's not just a little bit or kind of a sort of, a majority of a win. This is an epic fail. This is a triumphant victory. This is a humiliating loss. And it's changing the course of history in this country. Not for the better. But at the same time, it is for the better, because you need to know about what's going on. Because the times that we're in now, it would very much cost your life in order to walk around ignorant during these times. But this is an entity that is engaging what is bringing glory to Christ Jesus, the name of Christ that they would like to blaspheme, that they would like to try to throw dirt on, and you can't. You're forced to acknowledge him, including while he prosecutes you and proves how mentally ill you are, how inferior you are, how envious you are. All right, how much of a fool that you are to try to contend in the first place with somebody that wasn't even concerned about you. And I'm still not concerned about you. Because I'm prosecuting you does not make me concerned about you. You are always the stalker. Don't you ever forget it. You're always the one concerned about me. Don't you ever get that confused. This is the P.O.C. This is the entity that's engaging in that. And while I walk to Upland, California, and I maintain this podcast, the entity engaging in what it is the ongoing stalking conduct. They're doing it both because they are concerned as to whether I'm actually paying attention. These are demons that get a fix off of just stalking me. This is how empty they are. This is how pointless their existence is. Oh God, I feel so, miserable in my own skin. I just want to go be around the air of the targeted individual. And I do that by stalking her. And I know that she's on Euclid Avenue, so I'm going to go sit and be at the gas stall at Chevron just so I can, gang stalk her and be in the path. That's literally that's all they do. They're miserable. They literally sit around. They're the type that have a pistol on their bathroom sink, and they contemplate every day about, is this the day that I'm going to take my life? But I want to be around the target individual first. I want to be around that. I want to be around someone else that has a purpose for a being, that has a reason to smile. They literally, and these are people that have millions of dollars. They own companies that are stalking me. All right, they're engaging in the pattern of conduct. They supposedly have the dream, right? They're married, and they've got 2.5 kids, and no, it's all an illusion. And by the way, they're not even people, they're demons. These are demons that are trying to appear normal. Those are demons. And the pattern of conduct proves that. And the pattern of conduct that they're engaging in while they are maintaining those illusions proves that. That's why you have a fire department that's not even engaged in firefighting. They're demons. And that's pathetic. That's beyond embarrassing. That's beyond embarrassing. So the whole fire department is just the whole fire department. The budget, everything about what they do, that is so pathetic. Okay, this is the entity that's engaging in that level of conduct. The society that is focused on the one that is gifted, that is focused on the one that is called, that is focused on the one that is purpose-driven, the one that is capable, the one that is not conforming to what are a bunch of vagina monitoring demons. That's Michael GERKEN, who doesn't have a job. He's getting prosecuted as a terrorist. But the entities engaging in that pattern of conduct, and they're doing so while they are hostile, listening to the one that they're stalking. And that's what's so funny. You're stalking me in the bathroom, but you're bothered as I use the bathroom. You literally went into the bathroom in the event, literally the hopes that you would be in the presence of my vagina in that bathroom. That's literally why that sex offender is in there. And that sex offender represents Michael GERKEN, represents the entire entity that is stalking now. There's no emergency in this environment. There's no emergency. So they're stalking in the path. That's light activity, relevant positioning. And that's also why they go into the bathroom. And that's what you document. That's what I documented this morning. While you are stating things such as, oh my gosh, this is beyond a loser. There is actually something wrong there, but it is premised on demon possession. So this is an entity, a corrupt society, an entity of mentally ill people. They're all demons, and their demon possession manifests in different ways. So the developmentally challenged, the mute, the ones that are socially awkward, where they seem to not be able to conduct themselves in a normal way. They look what you would describe as weird. They behave in weird ways. They speak in abnormally loud volumes, right? The way in which they conduct themselves, and that is juxtaposed to what's supposed to be the normal. And none of them are normal. They're all mentally ill. They're all demons. They all have that same psychopathic disorder as well, regardless of the way in which that demon possession manifests itself. All right, but they present the illusion as one being distinct from the other, and they're not. They're all the same, engaged in the same pattern of conduct. And you went into the bathroom to be in my presence. Now that's a miserable soul, okay? And that is a miserable soul that's represented. They're going into that bathroom on behalf of all the rest of them that sit around lusting and obsessing over my vagina, that don't have any emergencies. 1544485. That's the Ontario fire. And you're paying attention, you hear how the sirens started immediately. They were creeping on the street, and then they engage in what is sounding sirens right now while they're stalking. A fire department that is stalking is a fire department that will not exist. All right, that's the entity, and this is what martial law is going to remove. There will be no Ontario Fire Department. They just went through and had an approved budget in between gang stalking to build another fire department for a bunch of stalkers. All right, so that's the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct, and they're doing so while they're engaging in what is the pattern of conduct pursuant to somebody that has prosecuted the entire state of California. The entire state of California. All right, so stalking with that fire department is the demon, stalking with light. 7ZTN118. This is P.O.C. That's a sex offender. Okay, the perpetual sex offense is underway while demons stalking your path with light activity. They do so as those that also crouch in bathroom stalls, hoping to be around your vagina. They do so while they study their communication devices. They are the mentally ill. They're the ones that are engaging in that conduct while the entity is stalking with the Ontario Fire Department. They're doing so right now with those that appear. This looks like a little 13-year-old girl. She looked like a little kid. She's engaging in some big time criminal activity though. I'm going to prosecute her. And that's the license plate of the vehicle that she's in operation of, stalking with the people, including license 8TDX176. And it is also Saris Regis Group that's engaging in criminal summoning, stalking, doing so with the military that's stalking in planes as well. The entire apartment complex is gang stalking, just like I documented this morning under that fake sun and the engineer light that was inside of this parking garage. The entity is engaging in what is a fake sun after 7 p.m. on the same street where Amazon Prime is stalking with light, stalking with the people of the state. 9WJP137 included. All right, these are a bunch of dead people who are engaging in what is a fully exposed state system that includes every police department, every fire department, and they're not actually police departments or fire departments. They're engaged in surveillance. Surveillance is a long word that is synonymous. It literally means stalker. All right, so these are stalkers that are engaging in that P.O.C. The fire departments are maintaining technology where they're looking through your walls. They're using like heat-seeking devices where they can see through, and they're doing so under the guise of needing this technology in order to fight the fires. And no, they're a bunch of stalkers. It's surveillance. They use that for surveillance. The entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct, and they're doing so with regard to, just giving you that example, in concert with the demons that are bearing weapons and calling themselves police officers. They're engaged in surveillance. That's it. They're a bunch of stalkers. That's why you have seen the embarrassment of said agencies, while the fake sun engaged in, again, as I'm documenting, different behavior every day by the fake sun. It was not setting in Ontario at 6:45 p.m. when I'm walking outside of the Upland Public Library at 6:54 p.m. And there it is right there. And the entity is engaging in it's there when I'm arriving this morning, targeting Carissa with evidence that she is a vagina monitoring hostile sex offender, a lesbian predator. Okay, keeping my vagina under surveillance while she is the entity harassing me in a bathroom stall. You don't even have to see me to know that I'm in there. All right, and that's why you were in there monitoring, stalking, anything, even engaging with us harassing, because that's how obsessed you are. Anything. Okay, that's the entity that's engaging in the P.O.C. While your ongoing so-called being bothered while you're all up in the bathroom stall, concerned with my vagina, is really the entity that is obsessed with me, and that's how they are engaging in that, vocalizing that obsession. All right, but nonetheless, this is the entity that is under that fake sun, sounding sirens and stalking and fire trucks. That's an extraordinarily expensive means of stalking, which the City of Ontario is going to lose. And the City of Ontario is not the only one. All right, this is the entity that's engaging in that, and I have arrived to Ontario. The entity engaging in what is stalking and fire trucks with the Ovid Family Community Library, Sarah's Regis, Wells Fargo at 240 North Euclid Avenue, the people of the state, Amazon Prime, the commercial airline companies that are stalking in Upland, and as I'm walking to Ontario, and this is where the stalkers in Ontario are maintaining psychopathic pacing, walking through the Civic Center, gang stalking all night long. A whole population of dead people, okay? And these dead people give birth to cursed dead people, their children, who are also gang stalking. All right, they're also monitoring spirits. They are, contrary to what you have been told and conditioned to believe, they're born mentally ill. They're born demon-possessed, and so they're born mentally ill. They have psychopathic disorders from day one. And it is serving what is, they have monitoring spirits on them, and that's why their behavior is so deranged. And that is not being addressed in the medical field. That's not being spoken on, and that's reality. And they're engaging in the criminal pattern of conduct. And their parents that are demons know that, and they are kept in those unhealthy circumstances. They don't get the treatment or the attention. They don't get any deliverance. Nobody is praying for them. They're demons, and they are raised in amongst other demons, and they are trained. And this is how you have people that grow up to be serial killers. They were demons their whole life. They were raised amongst demons. These are the dead that are leading the dead. But nonetheless, it's criminal conduct. Just giving you an example regarding the ongoing illusions where the entity is doing nothing other than stalking. And there are a whole bunch of dead people that maintain a surveillance system, a surveillance system. And the entity is doing so while I'm cutting through all of the illusions that they present, including illusions that you're anything other than obsessed with me. All right. And it doesn't matter what their race is. Okay, they are angry with themselves that they're obsessed with me, but you're obsessed with me. And it's because they know about their inferiority. And this is just the reality. They're demons. And you need to understand that Satan is inferior to Christ. This is just a reality that I'm physically addressing. It's not about me being like some sort of ego. No, you are inferior. That's why you're stalking. That's why you're following. That's why you're behind. You're the tail and not the head. You don't run anything. That's why you're being prosecuted. That's why you are spending money. You're in a fire truck and you're stalking me. Okay, you're in a plane spending money. You own companies and you're stalking me. Don't forget that. You don't run anything. You have control over nothing, not even your sick mind. Those demons that are subservient to me, that are under my feet, you are literally beneath me. And that's the entity that is stalking. Okay, this is an entity that's going bankrupt as a society. It is literally a transfer of wealth that has been stolen a long time ago. And it has been maintained, it's been hijacked,
and it has been held up by centuries of this ongoing course of conduct, this corrupt system, maintaining the means whereby literally murderers, this is Satan's system, and they're nothing other than murderers and robbers and rapists, pedophiles and stalkers that hide behind government positions, calling themselves FBI agents, calling themselves police officers, calling themselves Army men and Marine Corps, Navy men. They're criminals, they're demons. That's this corrupt system. And the entity is losing all of that. Okay? And the entity has devoted millions of dollars and losing everything. They lost everything, including their minds. And they did it publicly. They're stalking in fire trucks. They don't have any emergencies. They don't, I just want to let you know, it's light activity, audible activity, relevant positioning, and everybody knows that. The fake sun is rising and setting over the Ontario Civic Center. That's where the Ontario Fire Department as well. Michael GERKEN is a sex offender. He is a terrorist. He's nothing but a stalker. And he's going to lose that position. He will never be collecting another paycheck while he has been exposed as a domestic terrorist. He is done, and he's not going to maintain that position anymore. It's over. It is absolutely over. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 8:16 p.m. I have made it to Ontario. I'm at the Ovid Family Community Library, where the entity is starting its time, stalking me at the moment that I wake up. Doing so with the gang stalkers that are obsessing over me while they're sleeping outside, when they need to be figuring out where you're going to live. Right? They're not doing that. They're outside happily to be around me, stalking me. That's how obsessed they are. That's how inferior they are. That's how beneath me they are. It's pathetic. It is pathetic, and it is a mental illness condition. This is the P.O.C. It's currently 8:17 p.m. It's P.O.C. So I just want to show, I just took pictures of the entity stalking by planes, the same manner that I captured this morning at 5:16, and the entity is stalking, flying diagonally, hovering right here over the edge of the building, doing a U-turn. And a demon, you'll see that, first of all, that's Eddie, that's a demon. He's going to prison, and so is this one, engaging in battery at the Loaves and Fishes, the Methodist Church on I Street and Euclid. And the entity's engaging, they're gang stalking me together, and so are the people that stayed inside of the Ovid Family Community Library. And this is the environment where they're doing it in. Here are the multiple shadows, the impossible light activity. And the entity's also doing that in this environment where they're acting like they're oblivious and nobody's stalking, nothing's happening, where the entity's clearly engaged in that conduct with the planes, and they're engaging in psychopathic pacing. The entity also has engineered light that's coating the inside of this area while they are stalking in the path just like this. This is the entity that's gang stalking with the Ontario Fire Department, the Ontario International Airport. That's the U.S. military that's maintaining criminal surveillance, and they're mentally ill while they conduct themselves like this, gang stalking at the same time. This is the entity that's going to be restrained as a society via martial law and via what are being literally institutionalized, being involuntarily committed, especially as I document the entity that is engaging in this P.O.C. All right, the operation of the communication, not minding his business, it's Title 18 federal stalking in the engineer light. And he's doing so with the entity that's engaged in psychopathic pacing through this walkway. And this is already surrounded with evidence of a fake sun rising and setting. Doing so with the people of the state in traffic that are stalking with impossible light activity that's coexisting with their psychopathic behavior of pacing all around me while they are stalking together. So I wanted to get this because this is what an entity is doing. This is what the military is doing. This is what they're doing while I'm walking. Amazon Prime is a part of this criminal pattern of conduct, and that's what they're doing while with regard to my return to Ontario. This is P.O.C. It is currently 8:26 p.m. This is prosecution of the mayor, the gang stalking law school. And just want to point out that's around me. I'm prosecuting the whole state, but I want to be clear who's immediately around, and they are engaging in the criminal activity that I am subject to. And you will be prosecuting and removing, that is, a law school that's not going to be accredited. You're not preparing anybody to sit for the bar. Anybody that attends that school is not going to sit for the bar and become an attorney. It's not going to happen. And it's also not going to be an accredited institution. And coming and gang stalking me while you listen to me document that is not going to change that. That's what the gang stalkers of Laverne University of Law have been engaged in before as well. That's the City Hall where Paul Leon is engaged in the pattern of conduct, and that's why they're stalking at the Civic Center. Okay, this is the P.O.C. It is currently 8:26 p.m. in this environment where an entity of those who are in fact inferior are obsessively stalking me. This is P.O.C.